All right, say it again. Watch the last one at the bar. Right.
Y'all subscribe to the last ones at the bar boxing channel, man. We got some boxing fans out there.
Hola, soy Jolie de Medellín y estás viendo las 4:11 de Bar, el mejor canal de boxeo. Dale me gusta y suscríbete. Y me puedes encontrar en Instagram como Jolie1026 Sánchez. Bye.
Last ones at the bar. Exclusively folks about the sport of boxing.
Yeah, make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, please. Again, we are the last ones at the bar, the baddest boxing podcast out. You know, I think I should start off by saying this. Again, we start, and let me say my part about the only guy who has some heart, you know. And that person that I'm referring to is Lavelle Jackson, none other than AKA the Jack of Spades. What's going on, Ville? How you doing today, man?
What's going on, Will, man? I'm doing all right, man. Oh, man, you got the... You might have said that to me, man. I mean, hold on to that. That's a cool picture, man. You know?
There you go. Well, how's the weekend, man? How's everything going?
The weekend, you know, it's not going as well as I thought. It's not going to plan, but, you know, everything is everything. So I'll be happy the second half this week when I venture out to Virginia Beach, man, and chill out, see the sun, man, and see the fights that we're going to talk about, man. So everything's going to be lovely.
Yeah, did you, matter of fact, as you continue to share out, let me take a look at the weather, what the forecast is for the weekend next week. Did you get a chance to take a look at it just yet? I see it's going to be 90 on Thursday. Friday it's going to be 87. But it's some chance of shower on the weekend, but it's less than 50%. So I'm sure that if it does rain a little bit, it'll be something quick. And you said you'll be out there till Monday?
Yep, Thursday to Monday.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good, man. I'm glad that you all set up, ready to go. Are you got a relatively new car, so it wouldn't make any sense for you to rent something to go down there. That short travel, you know, that it takes to get down there. Yeah, man, I had a good weekend as well. I also, again, baddest boxing podcast. If you want some of that merch, don't hesitate just to reach out, and then we can work something out for you. Hence, I try to wear one of these shirts per episode, but I got a lot of different colors. So again, if you want something, don't hesitate to reach out, and we can go ahead and make something happen. Again, my weekend was good. I had a interview on Tuesday, and then the rest of the week was kind of smooth because we had the kids on at my job. I think it was Tuesday, but that was the day that I had the interview, and so I missed that day. And then ultimately Thursday and Friday was work days with everybody there, including the students. And so it was a pretty smooth week, man. You know, I see somebody already in the chat. Let me see who we got over here. You got was it Ubunga 70? Definitely became one of my go-to channels. So hopefully we can go ahead and keep you here, man. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and stop all of the small talk so we can get off in some of this content, right? So we discussed that. Vale, I just before we do get started, man, there's a couple of things that I want you to. I'm gonna have to put you on the spot today, brother. I told you, I said that you are, you know, Vale, aka Jack of the Spades, but I think you got a little bit of explaining to do, man. You know what I'm saying? I posted this book right here. That's a really good book if you are somebody who's into like his history and like the real history of African Americans in the United States. That's a go-to book. I'm gonna keep that up there for a second. And it's on Amazon, man. It's less than $20. It's probably about 200, in between 200 and 300 pages. It's a pretty easy read, but it gives you intimate details about what actually transpired. I think the author, LaRon Bennett, somehow, somewhere, was a series that he was doing with not BET, but Jet Magazine back in the day, and he compiled that series and put it in that book. But it's a powerful piece right there. So if you get a chance, check that one out.
All right.
But again, man, you got a little bit of explaining to do, man. I just want to know, first and foremost, when it comes to loyalty and betrayal, what do you believe about those?
I mean, what do you mean? Like in relation to what?
Just in general, like your relationships with entities, people, and organizations and things like that. Do you think that that's important?
That I do believe that is important. Yes.
Well, please explain this, sir. With people in Detroit.
Hey, man, look, my Pistons are out, man. So I got to rep somebody. I'm not gonna say I represent Indiana Pacers or say, hey, that's my team. But if I have to choose a dog in a fight, I'm rooting for Indiana. You know, it's a team that never won one. I mean, OKC hasn't either. But even back in the day, I was not saying I rooted for Indiana like that, but I'm a fan of Reggie Miller and stuff like that. And it was even when that Malice at the Palace stuff, that was a year that they could have won it. And I was kind of sad that, even though at that time I wasn't like Indiana's my team, I really like Reggie Miller as a player. And even to this day,
that's a rivalry right there. Malice and the Palace. What are we talking about? They were rumbling. They actually got kicked out of the league for a certain time. And it cost I got several questions for you. What would Rip Hamilton think about this, sir? What would Ben Wallace?
They would say, hey, that was like 20 years ago. Hey,
Theo Ratliff, Mark Aguirre, Dave Lambier, Microwave.
Bill Lambier. That's Bill Lambier.
Aaron Follow, sir. Like, what are we doing? Let me go. So there's no explaining this, right? You could have just simply. It's one thing to like, okay, my team is out. Let me go ahead and root for this other team. But it's a whole nother thing to put their name over your team's jersey, sir. Like, that's just.
Man, look. Hey, everybody, if y'all want to know where I got this whole thing from, an idea, just go back in the history of this podcast. Just watch Wilton's hat, man. Watch his hat.
Oh my God! Look, this you over there dry snitch. Let's keep going, man. But I just want to as we move on, man. I want to say rest in peace to one of the greats, man. You have Mike McCallum. I'm not sure if it was today. I just saw it today, but he has passed away. One of the greatest, definitely junior middleweights of all time. And then he also moved up to middleweight and had a very good career there, as well as 168 and 175. What are your recollections and what do you recall about the great Mike McCallum, aka the Body Snatcher?
Great fighter. As they say, the Body Snatcher, man. If you ever want to know how to set up, body shots, man, that was the dude, man. He could do it any way you want it. And it wasn't like, when you look at him, it wasn't like he was supremely athletic, but he was just so skilled, man. And a boxer's skilled when they win the respect of James Toney. You know what I'm saying? Where James Toney says himself, hey, every fight I was in with Mike McCallum, I had to learn more just to keep up with him, And even when you listen to his recent interviews and his take on boxing, he seemed like a nice all-around guy, to talk to. To hear him speak. He didn't seem out of touch or anything like that. But great fighter, man. Rest in peace, Mike McCallum. I might watch a few of his fights tonight.
Did fighters like Hagler and people like, did they duck Mike McCallum?
They probably were. Because they saw him coming. I do know he was kind of young when he was coming up. They were kind of coming out the door. So yeah, you look at it's almost like Boots right now compared to the likes of a Spence or Crawford. They were moving up out of weight and getting a little older. McCallum was just coming on, so he kind of just missed them. But still, if they wanted that young smoke, they could have got it.
The only thing is McCallum. I mean, I understand the reference that you made, but he is much more accomplished than Boots. For instance, I'm going to show you this. Right, I remember this happened July 18th of this year. This particular bout. Do you remember this one right here?
Mm-hmm.
With Donald Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he had to overcome a little bit of adversity, and Donald Curry had been upset at 147 pounds on Showtime by Lloyd Hunnigan. And so they kind of blamed it on him being drained. So he moved up. And then this was his big fight, like I said, July 18th of that particular year. And Donald Curry made the Colonel rule number one in boxing to not, back up with your hands down. And he used to do that, and you can't do that with somebody the caliber of a Mike McCallum. And so I'm going to show you the ending of the fight here as well. And this kind of was the demise of Donald Curry. He was very successful in this fight until this moment that you're going to see. This really, as a matter of fact, this might be the first time I'm watching this. I used to like Donald Curry. Matter of fact, I used to date a lady. Her brother used to train in the same gym with Mike. There you go. He's out of there. Yeah. And so he used to train in the same gym as Donald Curry and Gene Hatcher out there in Fort Worth. Now, he told me some stories about Donald Curry that I would never share on air. Also, let me go ahead and go back to here. So that's going to be rest in peace to the champ, man.
Yeah.
Very, very, very excellent fighter. Like I said, he has to be top 3 as far as junior middleweights of all time. Yeah. Also, today's June 1st. June 1st in boxing history. I'm going to take you through over here. Let me see if they got some of the fights that took place. I thought June 1st would be loaded with more fights. But if you look here, 63, you had Willie Pastrano. He defeated Harold Johnston in a 15-round fight. I'm going to go down to 1991. And then also, unfortunately, Donald Curry. He was a little bit past it. And I hate to be doing this to Donald Curry. I'm going to show a little bit of highlights of that.
Yeah, he underrated too. Like, people hear his name, and you got to watch his fights and kind of be there to kind of know how good he really was.
No, I'm going to show him because I don't want to disrespect him like that. Mike McCallum not Mike McCallum, but Donald Curry. In the mid 80s, it was him or Hagler as the number 1 fighter, pound for pound.
We're hoping to break them.
Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, this was a shootout right here. This was, again, one of his last hurrahs. But then Terry Norris just started beating him. And, Norris never would stop. Like, when dudes would go down, he would still be punching on those guys. But I do want to share one thing about Donald Curry. This right here was the unification match with him and Milt McCrory. Again, I don't want to just show all lowlights of Donald Curry because he was such a dynamic fighter. But like you said, if you're just watching him, he just does subtle things. At his best, he was so good at not doing anything extra. Everything was so efficient, so compact. And this is him at his best right here. Let's put him on the map right here. Boom.
And downstairs with the right hand by Curry. You listen to the sounds of the blows being landed. That tells you that these guys are putting a lot of body, are getting a lot of leverage behind each punch.
This is supposed to be a big fight, like the Leonard.
A left hand, down goes McCrory. A smashing left hook. He's in trouble.
Yeah, he couldn't make it, man. Sorry about that, Detroit. I didn't want to do you like that. You understand? But unfortunately, Milt McCrory, I think he won a belt after that 154, but he was like really the same after that. But that's what we got for June 1st. That is our boxing history moments right there. Again, if you want one of those shirts, man, just go ahead, holler at me, and we'll go ahead and get that to you. All right, Bill, let's go ahead and get off into the action as far as yesterday is concerned. Before I do that, let me go ahead. I think I saw Ty up in the chat. Ty says, salute. Absolutely appreciate you, Ty. And again, if you want to come through, holler at me, let me know. That was a really good episode last week with you and the rest of the fellas. One of the baddest podcasts out. I would venture to say the baddest boxing podcast out. I appreciate the retro boxing insight. This is why I'm subscribed to the channel. Thank you, sir. I'm interested to see what happened like June 8th when we discuss these things next week. If you're able to be on, Bill, because I know you're going to be out there on the beach. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. We can talk about it.
I'll be around like rotisserie. You understand what I'm saying? Trying to get that tan. Do you all remember Terry Norris against Keith Mullins? Did you see that fight, Bill?
I'm pretty sure I've seen it before, but let me YouTube that.
Upset. It was an upset.
Yeah. Terry Norris was, very athletic, very aggressive. Sometimes he seemed vulnerable at times too. But still, if you just look at that Terry Norton's name and you wasn't around during that time period, or go back in history and follow his stuff, man, he was a pretty good fighter too.
Man, you can if you see him at his best, he's just so dangerous. The thing about Terry Norris is exciting, and it could go either way because he was vulnerable. He kind of chinny a little bit, but at the same time, he was so potent with his power. You saw what he did to certain guys inside the ring, like say the Demolition. The other thing about him is he could get disqualified because he was a mean son of a gun. He's not gonna stop punching you when you're on the ground, and so he got disqualified on several occasions too as a result. Ty says last card was great, exceeded my expectations beginning to the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to it. All right, Vil. We're gonna recap yesterday. We'll start with the upset, man. You had Caleb Plant, he falls to Jose Resendez by split decision. Also, Jermall came back and dominated Cornflake LaManna. But talk to me, man. What did you think about Caleb Plant and Resendez? What did you see?
Hey, man, if you had one job was a definition, man, you put Caleb Plant up there. But then again, Resendez, he fought a really, really good fight. And Caleb Plant kind of fought a one-dimensional fight. And a lot of people saying that he messed up the bag and all that. I get that on a large scale and on a casual level. But to me personally, when I look at it, I think him and Charlo are probably more evenly matched than they were, I would have thought a week ago. We'll talk about that later. But Caleb Plant came to this fight. I mean, he started off utilizing his jab, but it seemed like that's all he had was the jab, man. And soon as Resendez was able to close the difference and get his combinations off, Plant just couldn't really do anything. He couldn't really fight with him, and he couldn't outbox him. And that's the shocking part, that he didn't really just stick to just boxing if he had to. Stick and moving and using that right hand. He wasn't really throwing a lot of those right hands and catching Resendez with it. And Resendez, on the other hand, was catching Plant with some of those counters, those overhand right counters, I think around the third round. And from third round on, I thought that Resendez was just giving it to him. I mean, I don't see how, one of the judges had Plant winning it. And, I thought it was a comfortable win for Resendez. And it's just that in these type of fights, when the scorecards are being read, that's when, it's always like, man, what's going to happen? And we almost saw that here. But Resendez just outfought Caleb. Caleb didn't have any answers. He was trying to just will himself to win, but you can't. With someone like Resendez, you can't rely on one punch to turn a fight like that around. Resendez always had a decent chin. So with that, you got to put your punches together, man. Give him something to think about. If he's catching you, you gotta get your combinations off and get out of there. You can't rely on one punch to really do anything. And I think that was the mistake that Caleb Plant made. But Resendez fought a good fight with the win. They're probably gonna ask for him and Charlo, and we'll see.
Yeah, what I gathered from this fight was Caleb Plant, he needs to do away with this level and caliber of opposition, because I'm not so certain that he can actually get up for Resendez. And Resendez is a hungry guy, and that's a tough matchup for Caleb Plant, especially at this stage of his career. See, Caleb Plant had quasi trouble with Caleb Truex, who was a smaller type guy, and he was landing some shots on Caleb Plant where we thought going into the fight that he was just going, wasn't the case. This was very similar, but Truex was towards the tail end of his career. Also, guys have a tendency to have trouble when you're facing the level of opposition that Caleb has been facing. He's been facing true 168-pound guys. So you got the Benavidez, you got you can consider Canelo, but he's on the older side, though. It's more, he's not like the hungry, he's just talented, and he's the skills. But when you got a young, hungry guy and you haven't been facing like that level of speed, Caleb's not that big of the biggest of punchers. And so it's not like he's going to be able to keep him off of him. And Caleb has a tendency to get caught flush here and there. Last fight, he had the same scenario, kind of same level of opposition, but he was able to. That was more of a grudge match. I didn't necessarily even sense that he was that dialed in on Resendez because it wasn't necessarily a beef in going into this fight. Resendez going into the fight seemed so reserved, so calm, so sure of himself that's what I was thinking about. I'm like, damn, he really looks like, you know, he has some confidence going into this fight, and I didn't see it in him to be able to be victorious because I saw the Hurd fight, and Hurd was landing uppercuts, he was landing punches, and I was like, if Caleb is landing that type of stuff on him, then he's going to have some trouble. But maybe since he didn't have any trouble finding Hurd, that he just was letting his offensive arsenal go, and he wasn't really worried about what was coming back. I don't know, but the way they're matched up at this stage of their career, I'm not sure Caleb can beat him right now. You know what I mean? And I don't even know if it's just the skill and everything. It's just more so where they are and being able to get up for this guy who's very hungry. I still think, matter of fact, let's go and take a look at some of the punch stats, though. Caleb, and he's a little delusional now, too. I don't know. We might be seeing the minds because at the other fight, when he was talking, he was like, it was a close fight. And this, no, it was not. That fight wasn't close. And when you look at the punch stats right here, you see it was, man, he almost landed like 80 punches more than him total. And then when you look at he like the jabs and then the power punches, like it was a clean slate. Once you get towards the fourth, fifth, I want to say the fifth round, then it was all Resendez to me. And then did he drop him in the sixth or did he just hurt him?
No, he just hurt him.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Somebody said later on, it's like, well, this is where you got dropped. And I was like, I don't remember him getting dropped. But yeah, he's going to have to do some soul searching. Caleb Plant at this stage of his career can only fight big fights. And then if you aren't successful, then you might want to consider letting it go. I think this is a similar situation where like a couple of weeks ago when Ryan Garcia lost, you still can make the Devin Haney fight. I think that if they made the fight after the press conferences and things like that, people will forget how bad Ryan Garcia looked in his fight against Rolly. And they just want to see those guys go at it anyway. In this situation right here, I think that it's still a bigger fight than a Resendez against Charlo fight. And you can always like mix and match those anyway. Like he can always try to go back and get his revenge against Resendez. Only problem for him is if you wait longer, Resendez is going to get a little bit better and he's going to get a little older. And so that's the tricky part about it. But we'll see moving forward. Caleb, he's still eyeing the Charlo fight after the disappointing loss. So we'll see where they go. You got any other thoughts on that main event yesterday? I had no, because a lady that I've been dating, very sweet lady, beautiful lady. She, you know, since we've been dating, you know, she called me, man. Or sometimes I text her. I text her, Cool J. You know what that means? When I text her Cool J, you know what that means?
I know Cool James.
I'm saying, do you know what that means? She knows what that means when I text her Cool J. She know I need love. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, with that being said, she was asking me, she said, you put some money on the fight? I had no idea that could be a possibility, but I should have been thinking about that once I saw the early parts of the fight. Caleb tried to come out and stay in the pocket, but he should have just, Resendez wasn't doing that much early. And so I think that if he would have just piled up a little bit of a lead and just stick to the basics, then I think he could have did that, as opposed to exerting too much energy. Then he's getting tired, you know, fatigued towards the end of the fight. But we'll see how things play out moving forward. Also yesterday, man, Jermall came back. He looked a little flabby, you know, a little bit, but he got back into the win column against Cornflake LaManna. Anybody in the chat? Let me make sure I don't get these guys before we get to the next topic. Caleb kept clinching when Resendez was bringing it to him. He didn't want none of that smoke. And then Jubanga says, I thought I brought up Norris against Mullins because Norris had a fight lined up against De La Hoya. Okay, if he had won similar to last night's fight. Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. But here's the thing, though, too. They might need to this is common practice now, where they have certain things set up and then somebody upset the apple cart. Even though the fights seem like they're gimmies, you got the Ryan Garcia situation that took place. There were some other fights too. Remember, Wilder was supposed to fight somebody, and then that was going to set him up with AJ. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot of that has been going on. Do you think, though, before we talk about Jermall, do you think that they should have just went ahead and fought, even though Jermall was coming off a long layoff?
I would say no. The only one that would benefit, maybe before the fight, maybe Caleb Plant. But no, because had that fight happened, unless Charlo would have won, they would have just said, hey, this dude was coming off a long layoff. His mind's not right. We got to see what he's doing before that. But what Caleb Plant did, one, he had the tougher opponent. I mean, we talked about that last week. And also, he chose someone who already knows him that he sparred with. And sometimes we can always look at that as, oh, yeah, his former sparring partner. But then on the flip side, that's somebody that also know you, and fought with you before. So for some reason, I don't know why Caleb Plant just didn't take that as serious as he should have.
I mean, I think it's just motivation. You know what I'm saying? Like the inability to get up. And he may have been putting on pause on Resendez. But he said in the press conference, after the post-fight press conference, that he knew it was going to be a tough fight. I don't know if that was just window dressing or if he was being sincere. Ty says that was LaManna's last chance on the big stage, in my opinion, even though he didn't quit and Doctor called it off. He's been stopped in all of his big moments, big fights or televised fights. That's true. I mean, I think unless they got like some young upstart, who they just trying to get a win underneath their belt. Well, as far as a fight of that magnitude, I don't think he's going to get any more fights like that unless he's called in as a late replacement or something like that. All right. So now, what did you think about Maul when he came back yesterday? Were you impressed?
I was impressed that he got the stoppage. Now, I don't know if I thought I didn't think that he was flabby. Maybe I did think he was a little bit slower than he was last time we saw him against Jose Benavidez.
He was looking like Larry Jones, man.
He was a little slower, but one thing that's interesting, and I'm not comparing the pre-fights, but in the fights, I thought he was more tuned in and focused in this fight than he was in the Jose Benavidez fight, even though he fought better in the Benavidez fight. It seemed like he was more focused in the ring. But LaManna, on the hand, I mean, tough guy, but it just seemed like he just didn't have the talent level, the skill level to compete. And every punch, even the punches he was catching Charlo with, it was just Charlo was just eating it up. And then LaManna, in the fight, you say that Charlo looked flabby. LaManna looked a little flabby too for a skinny guy. I mean, he looked a little skinny fat.
He always looked flabby.
He got that skinny fat going on, man.
We sound the same thing. He always looked like that. He got the that body. I forgot the name of that basketball player. Cadillac Anderson. He used to be the skinniest fat dude I've seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? He looked like that. That's why I was wondering when he fought against Lara, that was at 160. Mm-hmm. And then you moving up to 168, you was already not in the best shape. If he was bigger, he'd be like Tyson Fury. But anyway, go ahead, continue, sir.
Man, he should probably hit the weight room, man. But when he in the fight, I mean, I like the kid's heart. It's just that, I mean, you don't be taunting when they knock you down in every single round, man. He was trying to taunt Charlo, and it's almost like I could see at one point where I liked it, then I could see at another point where I thought it was kind of silly because it's like, I mean, dude's beating your brains out, man. You up there taunting them still, And I did like that when the doctor stopped the fight, he was upset about it and he wanted to go on, but I think it was the right decision. He was going to get hurt, man. It was not going to end well for him. So he can fight another day. He can get it.
Man, you can go ahead and just not train, but do his little promotional cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then stick at that level. Don't sit up here and be trying to fight no world. You're not a world-class fighter. What happened in this fight is that Charlo put that jab on him, and Charlo guy has a really nice jab. It's very solid. He knocked down Julian Williams with that jab, and so that's where he's setting the tone. He varies it. You know, he changes the trajectory of it. And LaManna is just somebody who isn't very talented. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the most impressive thing to me was the fact that he was able to eat some of those right hands, you know, for the amount of time he was able to eat them. You know, he was hyped up for the fight. He was in there trying to give every little ounce of talent that he has, which isn't very much. And I'm not being disrespectful, Mr. LaManna, because all the stuff that he was saying going into the fight is like, again, delusional. He's very delusional in thinking that you can mess around with somebody like Maul. Now, moving forward, this was a good fight for Maul to come back because he even sounded more clear, more lucid in the post-fight conference. Everything that he was saying was making sense. He was on point. That's why I was saying last week, even though going into the fight, he seems like he's not the same or something is going on psychologically. You never know what getting back inside that ring is going to do for him after he takes victory and after he gets back to something that he knows how to do naturally. This is what he's been doing since he's been a baby. So now I got this back in my life. Everything else might start falling back into place. Anything else you had about this fight? Whooping the mess out of LaManna, man.
Yeah, he whooped the mess out of him, man. And, you know, Charlo had, and there's no disrespect to LaManna, but Charlo had the easier opponent. That's why I say that him and Caleb, based off last night, people are saying, man, Charlo would knock out Plant in 7 rounds. Even if he would, it's still going to be a tough fight. You know, I think they're more evenly matched based off last night than I would have thought last week, where I had, you know, Plant beating Charlo.
Well, talk to me about it now. Based on what you've seen, who would you favor and why?
Because Charlo did get some rounds in, you know, these guys are matched evenly in some ways because Caleb Plant should win that fight. He should. But when you look at his weaknesses, man, he fades. He's liable to get caught. His defense can be leaky sometimes. He's more of a, you know, a jab and mover, and sometimes he doesn't move. Sometimes he'll move enough where he gets tired. Those type of things seem like they'll fall into a Jermall Charlo, you know, especially a fully trained 100% Jermall Charlo. Those will fall to his hands. So I think it is a kind of a 50-50 fight for me. Because even though I think Caleb Plant would take the fight more seriously. I mean, Charlo just has all
that part right there. When you say taking it serious, I don't see him as being an unserious man. I think it's more so motivation, like what motivates you, as opposed to. I'm sure that he went in there thinking that he trained and crossed every T and dotted every I, but it just wasn't there because it's hard to be motivated for that caliber of fighter based on what you've seen, what you know of the guy. And then also, to me, I think Caleb is one of those guys that if he's not extremely motivated, see, let's look at his career, because he's been on a, like, what does he have on his what is that called? He has the initials on his gear. Not come back, but he's trying to, basically what it means is that he's trying to get some get back on the people who he lost to. And so when you look here, again, after he beat Uzakati, after he beat him, look at the wins that he had against these guys. And then, like I said, when I saw him, I want to say it was like around the pandemic time when he fought Caleb Truex. And I'm like, he didn't really look that good to me. Then he ended up having negotiations with Canelo, and then Canelo got at him. Remember, after that fight, that's why Andre Durrell was talking so spicy. I don't say that's why, but it was like, yeah, once I go ahead and do this to you, you're going to quit and blah, 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 this and that. So he still had like a fight where it's like, is Caleb still Caleb? Then he ends up having a devastating knockout, and I think that people start forgetting about that. Then he had a little bit of success against David Benavidez, who beat him, but he got beat down. And so then you think about last fight, Trevor McCumbee was having some success against him. So I still, again, he has to be truly dialed in on these guys in order to really look like the Caleb who fought Uzakati, whatever his name is, right? And so again, you got this young, hungry guy he's facing, and that's going to be a daunting task at this stage of his career, having the punishment that he's taking. He's not like the biggest puncher, so a lot of times he's going 12 rounds, or he's going deep into fights. And like you said, he always has that problem as far as stamina. Now, him and Charlo, I don't know, because he's going to be up for the fight. Charlo is dangerous, though, because, again, he's one of those guys who hits you at his best at some weird angles, like he did Julian Williams when he caught him with that one. It's like a kind of half uppercut type thing, and he has that type of power and type of pop. And I don't know what's going to happen if he's consistently touching on Caleb Plant, especially at this particular part of his career. If we're talking about Caleb Plant about 4 years ago, then I definitely say I favor Caleb Plant. Even if it gets rocky, I still think he'll be able to overcome it. But at this stage, I don't know if things get rocky, if he has it left in him to be able to pull off another Trevor McCumbee type performance. But again, I'll leave the last word up to you.
Hey, man, I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think Plant's weaknesses kind of play into Charlo. And the thing about Charlo, certain things he has that even when we look at his last two fights, he has attributes that even if he's like not dialed in, they're still gonna help him. Like he's athletic and he has a chin and he hits hard. Those things are probably always gonna be true until he starts slowing down a lot, and that's gonna always make him in a fight, regardless. So we'll see. Hopefully they still make the fight, because if they don't, then it's like, man, was that Charlo was like, hey, look, I won my fight. He didn't. I still want to smack him. He smacked me in the face. I can't let him get away with it. So that's why I think that fight still needs to happen. You can't.
I don't know, because that could be a out for Charlo. It's like he didn't hold up his end of a bargain, so now I don't have to fight him. You know what I'm saying? It could be that, because the reason why I say it could be, and I'm not certain that it is that normally when somebody get at you like Plant got at him, that you got smoke for him when you see him. You know what I mean? Like you still have that animosity, but it's like, he's being kind of cordial towards him and things like that. And if I get a chance to not have to face that guy and I got an excuse, as an out, then that might possibly be something that I go with. My main man says, I agree about Caleb's opposition as well. And then, do you agree with Jubanga when he says this? He says, I see Charlo only fighting this caliber of opposition for the duration of his career.
It's possible, but I also see him trying to get a big fight. And it plays into even the problem with these guys today. It's like they don't want tough fights or like tough, really good fights. They want either, if they're going to take a tough fight, it's going to be upper echelon. I can see them pushing Charlo to fight Caleb Plant. I can see them pushing him to fight, Canelo, because it's a big money fight. So I ain't gonna put it past him to fight a high opposition for the money.
Yeah, but what do you think is the more likely thing that's gonna happen here, sir? Not like the different scenario.
He's gonna fight this level of opposition until Canelo starts calling.
Well, those are fights. He's 35 years of age. So, and that's when I listened to him in a post-fight press conference. That's what he's saying. He still talked about fighting Caleb Plant, but he also wants Canelo. But he prefers to have the Canelo fight over that fight with Plant. When you look at these fighters here, some ones that I don't see him facing is like the Pacheco's and people like that. Because to me, at 35, it really wouldn't make sense to go in that direction. I think the storyline is still with Plant. And so that would be a good one. And if he can get somebody like a Berlanga or something like that, which I doubt, I would go that route. But he's going to be at 168. It's not much wiggle room, really.
It's funny because I don't see him fighting Berlanga, even though he'll beat the brakes off Berlanga, in my opinion. I still don't see him taking that fight.
That's what I'm saying.
Because of level of danger.
Right. So what I'm saying is, if you can possibly get somebody like that at 35 years of age, that's who I would have, if I had me a checkoff list. Canelo, Plant, Berlanga, and then Munguia. So I would go down that route like that, because some of those other guys, the risk to me outweighs the reward, because you're not really going to get the full benefit of beating them, because a lot of people may not know those guys, but they still are tough fights. It's kind of like what Plant ended up dealing with in terms of fighting Resendez. Like, people don't know him, but that's a tough fight. And it's like, dang, I'm not really going to get any credit if I win, but at the same time, I can lose to this dude if I'm not coming in, fully engaged. I agree. Caleb's always okay. We talked about that. Charlo executed that uppercut perfectly on, didn't he? That's what I'm saying. Like, he got punches like that, and he didn't miss a beat too much yesterday. You know what I'm saying? I know he wasn't fighting the best level of opposition, but he came in there and he didn't look bad at all. You know what I'm saying? Which was, I ain't gonna say it was surprising, but it was good to see. Who at 168 besides Canelo is a big fight? Berlanga is. When you say big fight, it's levels to the big fights, but Berlanga will be something that I think he can make some money in. I think that, Munguia, he done ate some of that. He part of the juice crew now.
Yeah, Plant is still a big fight. They wouldn't set up a fight if it wasn't a big fight. Like, set up and have people fight, tune-ups, unless it was a big fight. Now, it ain't Canelo level, or it's gonna be on pay-per-view, charge you $200 to see it. But I think it's still a big fight.
And again. So to me, Canelo is the ultimate prize in terms of getting bread. You got Plant. They got the storyline. Hey, Resendez, that's going to be a pretty good fight. You know what I'm saying? So Berlanga, those are going to be the options there. And if I was him, I wouldn't even mind entertaining like a Sarase fight or something like that as well. But we'll see. We'll see how these things go, man. When you look at Jermall's resume, it hasn't been like the greatest, since he's moved up to 160. Either. Anything else, man? Ty and Jabanga, man. Brian Hicks says him and Bud might be a thing. Let me see. Charlo? Well, Bud got to get past that man we call Canelo. You know what I'm saying?
And I see him, even if he did that, I don't see him. I'm not sure if I see him fighting Jermall, even though I can see Jermall calling him out. I see Bud moving down. If he's going to fight Charlo, it'll be Jermall at like 160.
Shabanga says Charlo's going to cash out at 175.
Against who? like it ain't going to be Bibbo.
Nah, but here's the thing. If you listen to what the guy say, he spoke in the press conference, and he was saying that he's capped out at 168. And he said, matter of fact, I could make 160 if I wanted to, but he was talking about his legacy. He was talking about the Canelo fight, Plant, so on and so forth. And, he's only a certain amount of fights left at the age of 35 for him. Him and Bud might be a thing who said that. Charlo is 35 and doesn't fight that often, so he needs a big fight now. Yep. All right, fellas, man, make sure y'all, come through, man. We love to have you on the panel. I see Capadon didn't make it today. Oh, there goes Capadon right there. Let's go ahead and get Cap on here. I don't know if it's Wi-Fi. There he is. What's going on, Shep?
What's up, young brothers, man? I just caught y'all. I went out to breakfast. But I know what y'all talking about. You got to be talking about last night. Gotta be. That's the biggest topic.
Yes, sir. Oh, so the other thing before you start cooking show, Ty says I would say Andrade, if Andrade was still at 160, but Andrade is still showing that, and they both inactive like he was before he fought the monster. Yep, that'd be a good one too. I would entertain that, but I don't know if he will.
Andrade? So about Andrade and Plant? Andrade and Plant?
I think you can Andrade Plant, Andrade and
Hello.
Andrade and Charlo. You know what I mean? But anywho, what do you think about the fight, the two main events yesterday? Talk to us. Let me go ahead and warm this coffee.
Well, first of all, let me go ahead and say this right quick, right? You can't really judge too much. What's up, brother? You can't really judge too much off of what happened today because it was cornflake. I mean, it's cornflake.
You're right. Yeah, Charlo had the easier opponent.
Yeah, I mean, it was cornflake. Everybody beats cornflake. You know that. We've seen that. Laura got him out of there in 40 seconds, so it's cornflake. But that boy Resendez, man, either Plant is slipping or that dude is just pretty good, man.
What you see? What did you see?
I saw a dude that's rugged, that hits hard. You know, his skill level really ain't there, but he got dog. And what I saw yesterday, honestly, fellas, what I saw was a younger guy who was just too young for the older guy. That's what I saw.
Yeah, he had that engine. And once that engine started revving up and warming up a little bit by like the fourth, fifth round, I was like, man,
it was too much.
Gonna look good for Plant unless he just start turning into something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it just looked good. Looked like Plant just couldn't deal with that youth. The youth got Plant. The dude was just too strong and too young. Well, what did you guys see? Because I think that's what I saw. What did you guys see?
I mean, same thing, man. But what are your thoughts on Charlo and Cornflake?
Now say what? Say that again.
You already said cornflake wasn't really. But as far as
no test, that was cornflake. There was no test.
So who you have in the? Let's say next fight is Charlo and Plant. Who you got and why?
I would take Charlo because that jab is still there.
Mm-hmm.
That jab is still there, bro. And Plant, it looks like when he really gets hit, he gets really hit, it takes all the steam out of him. The same thing happened in the Benavidez fight. Same thing happened in the fight with McCallum, and the same thing happened in this fight. At least with McCallum, he had the benefit of being way more skilled, and McCallum got tired. That's what helped him in that fight. But in this fight, that young kid didn't get tired, and he just kept putting it on Plant, and Plant couldn't handle it. That's what I saw.
Mm-hmm. That's what happened. You know, like I say, when you get somebody at this stage of your career like Plant, you know, got pounded on a few times. He always had the problem with his stamina. You know, after about 7-8 rounds, he kind of gets tired. And, you know, he's been to the mountaintop in terms of the biggest fights, the Canelos, the, you know, grudge match with Benavidez, you know. And so you got this young, hungry dude who's a little smaller too in terms of quickness and all of that type of stuff. So you don't have that advantage over him like you would some of the other guys you've been facing as well. And then, like you said, that dog that he has in him is just tough to deal with for 12 rounds. And you're not used to facing that though too. I'm saying as far as like there's just a hungry young dude, young guy, quick, you know, feisty, not gonna give up, got that dog in him. Like that's tough. It's just gonna be tough anyway to deter him. But then you add in the layer of this being at this stage of Caleb Plant's career. That's a daunting task for anybody, man. Jabanga says Plant has sparred with him a few times as well, so the familiarity, right? And then Ed. You quote, I don't want to butcher your name, but Ed says Andre versus Charlo. Yeah, Andre would have to have, you know, like a tune-up fight as well. But then again, man, them tune-up fights, when you trying to have two dudes on the card and it's like, okay, it's a collision course, they're going to fight next, something always upsets the apple cart, man. Just go ahead and throw them dudes up in the ring with each other. Get it over with.
And we also got to remember, Wilton, we got to remember that Andrade 37 now.
Yeah, but he don't have a lot of wear and tear on him, except what happened with him and Benavidez. I mean, but because we haven't seen him and he hasn't been active, that's the danger. Is like, dude, you just want a big fight and that's it. Like,
yeah, he pop his head out every now and then, talk a little greasy, talk a little spicy. Then he'll go back to the high.
Look, I used to follow him on social media, right? And before that Benavidez fight, every other day he was talking about Canelo ducking him, Canelo, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I ain't gonna hate on the kid, but man, don't say all that and then Benavidez beat you. Now you want to be quiet and not do anything. You know?
No, he was talking. He was back out talking for a minute, but then, like I said, he went back into, high because he'd be on like, I don't want to name drop on some of the channels that he was on, but it's other things that are going on as well where they stop going in his direction, because you got with that particular channel, they start more so focusing in on like boots and who he's gonna face, and all that type of stuff.
I got you. I know who you're talking about. But let me ask you this. Let me ask y'all this though. Am I the only one tripping, or did we see a problem for people at 160, bro? That dude is a problem.
You talking about the Cuban?
Hey, Hernandez, man, let me tell you, that dude is big for 160. He's aggressive. He can box. That might be a problem there, Wilton.
That dude was funny, man. He was up there like, go, hit me. I'm like, yo, the dude Karan is trying, man. He's like, come on, stop standing there, hit me.
If somebody listening, they wouldn't even know you're talking about. Like, who are we talking about? What happened?
Go ahead, Shelby.
The Keyshawn Davis Hernandez fight.
Okay.
Now I know a little bit about Keyshawn Davis. I've seen him in there with some people. Keyshawn Davis is decent.
Yeah.
Now he's not no world beater, but he's decent, and he ain't no punk. He's not gonna quit. Man, this dude Hernandez, I never heard of the dude. He got 8 fights out of Cuba. Brother, if you didn't see it, go back and watch it. That dude put hands and feet on Keyshawn Davis.
You can punch too.
Yeah, he can box. Wilton, he can bang. He's aggressive. He's a problem. He's a problem. I'm taking him against Janabek. I'm taking him right now against Janabek.
Yeah, I had to take him. I was out yesterday. Like I said, I've got a few. Well, I'm gonna say because I don't want to. I got a lady I've been dating, right? So things kind of, lasted, lingered on.
Hey, brother.
No, I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to tell you. Allow me to share, sir. So we were hanging out a little bit. So by the time I came back here, it was Charlo was over with, and so I had to go online in order to be able to see what happened with him and Cornflake, and then the Caleb Plant fight came on. Had I been thinking correctly, after I saw Caleb Plant early on, I would have put some money on Resendez if I would have been thinking. But it was surprising to me that he couldn't really get off, the way that I thought that he would be able to get off. But then it just started to register to me, like when I start thinking about his resume and who he fought and who he had not fought before. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this might be a tough fight. But again, I never thought about putting a little bit of bread on Resendez because the odds were there to be able to do something like that yesterday. But let's go ahead and keep it moving, man. We got big fights coming up. Vela's going to be in Virginia Beach next week. We got fellas that's in the chat. I see Jabanga said Bud is 37, but he stays in the gym. Andre doesn't. That's right.
Fair.
Hernandez is training with Demetrius A. in Providence. Okay. Appreciate that information, Ed. And then Ty says, Ed, are you talking about Yo-Yo Hernandez? I guess they'll be able to work that out.
Yes, exactly the guy I'm talking about. Exactly the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah. He's nice, man. Tough guy, mean fighter. And Karan, man, I got to give Karan credit to Karan Davis because he did take some punishment, and there was a time period where you're like, man, how long this fight is going to go before they start thinking about pulling him out. And he even though he wasn't consistently winning rounds, he was showing me something every time you thought like, man, this is going to go downhill. He would show me something. It's just that Hernandez was just too much, too strong, too big, and too mean for him.
Okay. Anything else, fellas, that y'all like to care to share?
No, we can go ahead and get to next week's big fight with Keyshawn Davis.
All right, so speaking of that, you got a new champion, new era, Keyshawn Davis versus Edwin De Los Santos, and then you also had a Mason Nakathila fight. We're going to start with Keyshawn Davis. He's 13-0, 9 impressive KOs. They call him the businessman, 5'9", very strong, 135-pound fighter, fighting out of Norfolk, 70-inch reach. He's coming off the Denys Berinchyk fight in which he won a 4th-round KO victory to claim the WBO World Championship. He also had an impressive victory over Gustavo Daniel Lemos, in which Vail was in the building for that one as well, right? Edwin De Los Santos, 16-2 with 14 KOs. Lots of, it's got some heavy hands. Also, he got some pretty good feet, too. It's very tricky when it comes to some of them shots that he lands when he's at his best. Out of Dominican Republic, southpaw, 5'8", also has a 70-inch reach. And he fights, like I said, out of Santo Domingo, which is kind of the New York City of Dominican Republic. He hasn't fought in a while, and that's the biggest concern that I have for De Los Santos going into this fight is that he hasn't fought since 2023. Vail, we'll go ahead and start with you. What are your thoughts, and what do you think is going to happen in this fight out there in Norfolk at the Scope, home of Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, the building that you were in when you saw Keyshawn last November get busy? What do you think is going to happen, sir?
I think he's going to get busy this time around. It's just that Edwin De Los Santos is he can crack. And I think the dilemma in this fight is Keyshawn doesn't probably, especially fighting at hometown, I don't think he's the type of guy that would want to fold up too much like what Shakur Stevenson did and just be content.
They don't fight like that.
He don't fight like that, but I think he's talented enough to be defensively responsible. So he's going to bring it, like Ed said. I think he is going to bring his A game. I think the inactivity may kill may mess up De Los Santos. I think that's not going to help him, but I think the danger is always there because De Los Santos can crack. But the thing is, Keyshawn Davis can crack too. And one thing I like about Keyshawn Davis is it took me a little bit of time to really see what other people see and appreciate him. But he has a combination that not a lot of fighters have today. He has an amateur pedigree. The dude can box. He has power and he's aggressive. And lastly, he has personality. It's not, especially today, it's hard to find all those things in one fighter right now. A lot of times they'll have like 3 of the 4, but it won't have the personality, or won't have this or that, won't have that. So, and I think that for better or for worse, Keyshawn Davis wants to oppress. He wants to be that dog. He wants to be looked at as that guy. So it's twofold. Either you're going to get a career best performance, or you're going to see Keyshawn Davis look vulnerable. If I'm going to put money on it, I think Keyshawn Davis is going to impress. I think he's going to hurt De Los Santos. I think the inactivity is going to work against De Los Santos. And I think Keyshawn Davis is going to stop him, I say, in the 11th round. That's my prediction.
Sheldon, are you there?
I think he
oh, no, I can't see if Sheldon is there now. So I give my prediction on this fight. What I think is it's a couple things that's going to really benefit Keyshawn. One is in that building, he has a huge advantage in that building, just that energy. It's like the energy of Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker coming down inside the building and putting his hands on the young kid. And that's just how it feels inside there. It's just they really are truly behind him. Anything that he does is just a loud roar, but it's just something that you feel. You can't really tell somebody about it unless you're in that particular vicinity. So that's going to be one. But even more importantly is the fact that I think De Los Santos could overcome that more if he would be in rhythm. And unfortunately, it's going to take him some time to get his bearings about himself because he's been so inactive. He hasn't been in the ring. He's rusty. And so that's going to be the problem that's going to lie for him. I think it might end a little early. Now, he's always going to be dangerous. When I'm looking at De Los Santos, if he was firing on all cylinders, I could see him upsetting Keyshawn Davis, or at the very least, I ain't gonna say at the very least, of potential things that could happen is he could hurt Keyshawn, and Keyshawn had to make some adjustments in terms of not putting himself in danger and being vulnerable. But he's got a lot better over this short period of time. As far as Keyshawn, because I saw a fight or two where he looked vulnerable, where he was getting hit a few times, and I'm like, dang, you can't really be getting hit like that with the top level guys. But he's cleaned some of that stuff up. Now, the other thing though, too, Keyshawn is a risk taker. Like, he goes in there, and he's gonna punch with a guy, and for him, 9 times out of 10, he's just that much quicker, and his punches get there first. De Los Santos has some of that slickness about him as well, especially with the caliber fighters that I've seen him face. That fight that he had against Valenzuela, that's what he was doing to Valenzuela to end up upsetting him, because Valenzuela saw some openings, but he was putting himself in position for Valenzuela to think that was a good idea, and it wasn't. He had sneaked something in there, and he had Valenzuela in all type of trouble. Keyshawn's sake, hopefully don't put himself in jeopardy, for one, and then 2, just keep it basic and don't get caught in any exchanges that are unnecessary. Always do things on your accord, like when you want to do it, and I think he'll be just fine. It's just he's going to be really gung-ho on pleasing his fans, and that could go either way. But I would say more so like a 4th, 5th round KO, because these dudes they're too aggressive, for this fight to go that far, and they hit too hard. So somebody's gonna get up out of there, and I'm just thinking that's gonna be Keyshawn around the 4th. I'm gonna say 5th round TKO victory or KO victory for the kid from Norfolk. I mean, Shelton is back. Shelton, you have anything you want to say on that as far as your prediction?
Yeah, I got like a 5th, maybe 6th round KO for Keyshawn. Keyshawn gonna beat the brakes off this dude. This dude is famous for losing and beating a guy who we found out, he beat Valenzuela, who really, he was all right, but he wasn't all that. He wasn't what they said he was. This guy's he's a good fighter. He's a tough guy. He hits hard, but he's not very talented. Keyshawn gonna beat the brakes off this dude, and then they're gonna move the goalposts again. Then they're gonna start saying, "Oh, well, he wasn't that good anyway," because they hate on Keyshawn. Anything Keyshawn did, he wasn't that good. Oh, Lemos, he was this, that, the third. They was pumping up Lemos before the fight, and that's Lemos was a lightweight. Nah, come on, man. Just like you always say, Wilton, and I admire. I like that saying. Just recognize greatness when it's right in front of you. Just recognize it. The dude, Keyshawn's pretty good, man. He's gonna be pretty good. We want to see Keyshawn in big fights. We want to see him with the Shakurs, with the tanks. But this guy's a stepping stone. He's in the way, and Keyshawn's going to get him out of the way.
It says Keyshawn looks amazing, but better bring his A game for De Los Santos. A lot of people are saying that. A lot of fighters are saying who train with De Los Santos, they giving him a good shot. So you better be very careful. Lakeisha Jackson. Hey, Lakeisha, how you doing today? Looking forward to seeing Keyshawn in person again. I'm a little worried about Abdullah Mason. It impressed me that he came back from a knockdown and won. Hope he does even better this time. Very, very, very poignant points.
Thanks, Mike. We'll talk about that one next.
Also, we'll talk about that when I have a lot to say. I wouldn't say a lot to say, but I have points that I want to make about that Nakatila Abdullah Mason fight, which is a good fight, for Abdullah Mason's career, especially at this stage. Very good points. Thank you so much, Ms. Jackson. Let me go ahead and go to but anything else, Bill? What percentage wise, what would you say in this fight out of 100? What percentage do you give Keyshawn? What percentage do you give De Los Santos?
I think it's like 70-30. I think Keyshawn would
agree. I agree with Bill.
He gotta be reckless, and Santos have to catch him. Yeah, Santos have to catch him because Santos can't crack. If you reckless, he is a dangerous fighter. But Keyshawn would just have to be straight up reckless, and I think Keyshawn's is more of a I'm gonna be sharp, I'm gonna get a guy out of there, but I'm not gonna be reckless. He's not reckless like Nakatila who we're gonna talk about.
Okay. I mean, so you agree, Sheldon, 70-30.
I agree, 70-30. You know, the way De Los Santos will win is if he get lucky. Other than that, he gonna get beat up.
I don't know. Look at this, right? What's this? Boom! Get up out of here, bro. Look at guys. He's shifty. Woo! Woo! I don't know, man. I say 60-50. It ain't no. You got to be. You can't just be regular. I think he might just be in an exchange, and it could happen. See, in that fight, the thing is, again, I don't really want to. I love Keyshawn. This Keyshawn Davis that I've been hearing and seeing, and the one that's been wanting all the smoke. But again, I don't want to put him in such a lofty status just yet. I'm rooting for him to be there, but at the same time, I remember going into the Lemos fight being concerned that Lemos might do a Hutchins against him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still pumping my brakes. And then when I saw him against Berinchyk was like a knockoff Cambosis or somebody like that. Like, it wasn't really much there to have to deal with. Now this fight right here, if he's on point, if he's not rusty, then this can be a tricky fight. So I say about 60-40. So, but good brother, make sure you handle business, because I don't want that to be a sad day. You know what I'm saying? I want to be going there. Everybody's, oh, he's okay, because it's real live, and you know when he's doing the thing, you know. And so I want that type of energy, not the sad. All right, let's go ahead and go into the co-feature though. You got Abdullah Mason, a power punching kid, 18-0, 16 KO, southpaw. They call him Estados Unidos, 5'9". We got 74-inch reach. That's some long arms for a short fella. But anywho, he's coming off a Carlos Amalis victory.
Remind you of someone, Wilton? Does that remind you of someone, Wilton?
You gotta tell me who you're talking about, sir. He also beat Manuel. I'll tell you what that remind me of. I mean, you got Bud, you got Hagler, you got Floyd. Those guys got long reaches for their heights.
Long arms, short guys, long arms.
Do you mind if I do that?
Just saying, Wilton. Just saying.
Who that remind you of, Sheldon?
Huh?
Who that remind you of, Sheldon?
Oh, reminds me of a little bit of Hagler, a little bit of Bud Crawford, maybe a Floyd Mayweather. You know, short guys with long arms.
Okay. I was in the park. I can hit you,
but you can't hit me. Okay. Yeah, I can hit you, but you can't hit me.
Sure, sir. Who do y'all think gonna win?
I got Mason winning this, but it's gonna be a firefight, man. The only thing about this, it's gonna be good for as long as it lasts. And even though Abdullah Mason, you know, got dropped in that fight that was referenced, he got up. Nakatila be getting hurt, man. And the thing about Nakatila, he got some power too, and he can't crack, and he can get guys out of there. But once he can be hurt too, and he's so vulnerable. I think this is gonna be a very exciting fight because Abdullah Mason is a dog type fighter that likes to really put it on the line. You know, and it's always that level of danger there because Nakatila can hit. But I think Nakatila is just so vulnerable that eventually you're gonna get him out of there. And I say Abdullah Mason get Nakatila out of there about the 5th round. TKO.
Oh shit! Let me ask a question. How old is Nakatila? How old is Nakatila?
I don't know. That's a good question.
It's real close.
Yeah. Let's go look. 35.
And how old is Abdullah Mason?
Abdullah Mason got to be about in his like early to mid 20s.
Not even mid. I think he's 21, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, you're right. 21.
Yeah, he's gonna beat the brakes off Nakatila. He's gonna run through Nakatila because I do believe with the tutelage that he has, he's probably learned from the mistake that he made against the Spanish guy who dropped him twice.
Mm-hmm.
The guy with the mohawk. That's the
Yeah.
guy who dropped him, right?
Yep.
I think he learned from that. And Nakatila can punch, but Nakatila is not very skilled. We know that. He can just punch. He punches hard.
Yeah.
But
he's
when
very
he gets
tractable.
cracked, yeah.
His rhythm
But
is
that-
very
but that
he
you-
figures out rhythm quick.
Like
Yeah.
the same thing that happened to Caleb Plant's probably gonna happen to Nakatila. Can't deal with this youth. And this dog that keep coming at you.
It's going to be worse for Nakatila though.
Oh, it's gonna be he's gonna get him out of it. Yeah, because Nakatila doesn't run. He's not gonna run. He doesn't know how. Nakatila gonna stand and fight, and that's gonna be his detriment.
All right, so as far as this fight is concerned, as I look at the particulars again, you got Nakatila, who has 4 losses, 2 by KO, and they've been very recent. And so to accurately state his age, yeah, he's 35, out of Nambia. And so when you look at the fights, to me, that put him in a position where they're even taking this fight for a young kid like Abdullah Mason is going to be the Maritala fight, which he lost by 2nd round TKO. Now, in that fight, I thought it was a pretty quick stoppage. He was hurt, but they jumped in there and stopped the fight in that corner. But I think the confidence, he lost a lot of confidence. He was, like I said, his legs were a little shaky, but they waved the fight off. Then he goes right into an Ernesto Mercado fight, and he actually ends up getting stopped. But Nakatila, he's a stiff guy, and he does have power. That's a fact. But technically, he's at a disadvantage, and now he's so stiff as far as his age, and he's more fragile now as far as his chin. I think that the weapons that Abdullah Mason has is going to be way too much. I think it's going to be another one. This could be like the slot machine when you got 7-7-7. This might be 2-2-2 for him as far as the knockouts, because every second round it seems like he's getting knocked out when he does get stopped. But I think that this is going to be a knockout victory for Abdullah Mason. He's going to have some moments just to be worried about because Nakatila is so long and rangy. But once he gets close and he's so fast, so compact with his shots, that it could end ugly. It won't be one of those quick stoppages. It's going to be something where he's going to actually be out KO loss. So I think about a 2nd round knockout victory because Abdullah Mason is very, very aggressive as well. In the chat, Jabanga, he says, enjoy the rest of the channel, chat, and panel. Certainly appreciate you, sir. Thanks for stopping through. Let me go ahead and go to the news. So that's going to be next week. You know, hopefully get a chance to see you out there, Vail. I got these tickets that I'm still trying to get off. But we'll see how that goes. I'm all set and prepared to be out there. I'll just be out there Saturday and I come back Sunday, though. All right, as far as the boxing news is concerned, we're going to start off with old AJ. Joshua, he's going to fight once in 2025. So he's waiting on Tyson Fury to make a decision on what he's going to do with the rest of his career, if he wants to fight with him or not. If you play matchmaker, who would you suggest that AJ faces if he can't initially get the Joshua? I mean, not the Joshua, but the Fury fight.
Hey man, if you want a big money fight that could go to sleep, but you may not take a lot of punishment, get in there with Deontay Wilder. You know, I can see him. If Wilder catches him, Joshua will go to sleep, but it won't be as bad as taking a beating like he would against a rematch with Daniel Dubois. so that's still a big money fight. It's a fight that it's going way later than we wanted to see it, but it's still a money fight that would garner a good paycheck for both guys.
Shelton there.
What you think, Shelton?
On this damn phone, man. I'm here. Yeah, this phone be tripping sometime. Yeah, I agree, man. If you can't get Fury, if Wilder gets past this fry cook, when's he fighting? Next week? 2 weeks from now?
I'll have to check. Wilder is always going to be dangerous, so it's a puncher like that.
Yeah.
It's always going to be worth a lot of money, you know.
Yeah, he's fight Cook in Wichita, Kansas, right?
Let me see.
If Wilder gets past him, fight Wilder.
Yep,
People
fighting the 27th, fighting Tyrell Herndon.
42-year-old Tyrell Herndon. Okay. Hey, look, whatever. Fight. You can't get Fury. Fight Wilder. People want to see that fight still. That fight could still draw some money probably in England. You could probably sell out the O2 with that. And both of you guys get a nice little healthy paycheck on the way out. I think AJ is probably done chasing the championship. He's out of the picture. He's lost to Usyk twice, so he probably don't want to fight him again. He'll never. I don't think he wants to fight Daniel Dubois ever again. I don't think he ever wants to do that again. So either Wilder or Fury. That's all that's really left for AJ. He's done everything else. He's been everything else. So. Only thing he has never been is undisputed, but he's won everything else. So go out with a bang. Either, I think he beats Fury. I think he could possibly beat Wilder unless he get caught. But those are the two fights I see for him.
Yeah, if I was going to play matchmaker for AJ, we would sit down and I would kind of read into what it is that he wants to do with the rest of his career. Does he want to challenge, again, to get one of the pieces of the crown in the heavyweight division? Is that an option? Is that something that you really want to, do? Is it just the big fights? You just want the big money fights? Is that sort of thing the direction that you want to go? Because you can't really do all of these things. It's got to be some clear-cut pathway to what you foresee for the rest of your career. Either way, what I would suggest for him to do, no one ever has enough money. You know what I mean? So that's all. And regardless of what would happen in a fight that he has, unless he just gets smoked, he still has options as far as like a Wilder or possibly a Fury. Again, if he gets smoked, then that might be out of the question. I would consider facing Dillian White one more time. Kind of like when Vander Holyfield, in his career, there was a guy, I forgot his name, but he fought him twice. And so when he fought him, the second time after the Riddick Bowe bout that he lost, I think Alex Stewart, he fought him again. So Alex Stewart was undefeated. A lot of people didn't know about his, I think I want to say he had all knockouts in his victories. He ended up defeating him early in his career when he was going to challenge for the heavyweight championship. I think that was one of the fighters that he beat in order to build that confidence against a big, strong heavyweight. And then, like I said, he had the Riddick Bowe fights. And then later on, he fought him again just to see if I still am the fighter I was then. Do I still got it? If I do still have it, then I should be able to beat Alex Stewart. And I think that that's the same thing with AJ, is that at this particular stage, if I'm really going to make some noise, if I'm really capable of beating a Fury or a Wilder or somebody like that, I still should be able to beat Dillian White. And so I would start there, and then I would make my decision on what it is I want to move forward with next. I think ideally you go ahead and take the Fury fight and then a Wilder fight, because that is your class of fighters that you've come up with. Like, your name is associated with those guys, with that group. And you can truly see what's the pecking order between the Wilders, the Furies, the Joshuas, and Usyk is already, up top, in terms of that class, even though he kind of got himself in there indirectly. Or do he really want to get back in there with Dubois, especially if Dubois beats Usyk? Then I can go ahead and get my rematch, and then I get my last opportunity to become undisputed champion again. But I think the road would start with somebody like a Dillian White, to me. That's the direction that I would go. Anything else on that, or we can move forward? All right. So next.
All right.
Yes, indeed. So Tim Tszyu, he's going to aim to rewrite history against Sebastian Fundora. And that's going to come on this Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios fight card. Here is the fighters that's going to be on the undercard. Obviously, you got the headliner, but then you got the Fundora Tszyu fight, you got the Figueroa Gonzalez fight, you got the Cruz and Fiora fight. Out of those fights on the card, first and foremost, what would you rate this fight card first and foremost? And then secondly, which fight do you think is the most interesting on the fight card?
I think it's a rate of what, 1 to 10?
Whatever your rating system is.
Yeah, out of 1 to 10, I say it's a 7. I don't like that Pacquiao Barrios fight. I mean, goodness gracious, man. We go all day talking about how a travesty this is and how they're allowing this to happen. But Fedora versus Tszyu, that's still going to be a great fight. Those guys are always going to produce excitement. The only thing is how much Tim Tszyu has left, and you got to give him credit. It's quite a gutsy move to go where he just came from against Murder Zalev into a fight with Sebastian Fundora, who he also took punishment against. So that's a gutsy move, and props to him for doing that. Figueroa versus Joet Gonzalez. I've never been high on JoJo, but he does have, he was a pretty good amateur. That's a winnable fight for Figueroa, but JoJo is not the type that just gets beat down in fights though, neither. So I think that'll be pretty good. Cruz versus Fierro. We saw what happened last time. The question is, can Cruz come back and get some get back? So I expect a more aggressive Cruz, and I don't know if that's going to play into Fierro's hands or not, because Fierro is going to be riding high off that victory over Santa Cruz. So I give it a 7, maybe a 6. I just don't like Pacquiao versus Barrios.
Which fight do you find most interesting? Though? Did you say?
Fedora and Tszyu, without a doubt. That's the most interesting fight.
Thank you, sir. So let me go ahead before you share, Sheldon. We got Antonio. What's going on, Antonio?
Hey, what's good? What's good? How are
you? Everything's great, man. You having a good Sunday so far?
So far, it's amazing, brother. Family, quiet, peaceful here. So far so good. Enjoying your show and looking for information about the Keyshawn Davis and Edwin De Los Santos fight.
Yeah, let's talk about it. You think De Los Santos is gonna get rid of Keyshawn? I see you saying that in the chat. Like, why do you think that?
That's my guy. Dominican. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna support my guy no matter what. But despite of that, I believe he has enough talent to get rid of anyone, including Keyshawn. In fact, I believe, in my opinion, bias aside, which I don't get rid of at all because in Dominican I'm gonna support my guy. But I believe De Los Santos is the better fighter, in my opinion. He's faster, better footwork, a snappy jab. He has more power. I believe Keyshawn has a little bit better IQ because his fight style is more, calculating his spots. I think it's more reckless, a little bit more reckless than Keyshawn. But that doesn't mean that De Los Santos doesn't have a good IQ. He has a good IQ also. So I believe with the tools he has, the footwork, the power, the movement, the speed, it's more than enough for him to get rid of Keyshawn. I believe he's gonna KO Keyshawn in the from the 6th to the 8th round.
Only thing, Antonio, I can see what you're saying. I can't. I know some of us on the panel believe that this is going to be kind of an easier victory for Keyshawn. I think this is a very dangerous fight. But to push back on what you're saying, what do you think about those people who believe that the layoff is really going to be the determining factor, that De Los Santos is going to be a little rusty going into that building and Keyshawn's going to take full advantage of that? What do you say to those people who believe that?
I can understand that for sure. You can't deny that. But there have been things that really affect fighters, and the rust and the long layoff are definitely one of them. Keyshawn should definitely take advantage of it. I believe Edwin did a good camp. I think he won't be 100%, but I think he can get close to 90%, for example. I believe. So if he gets in good condition, good enough in order to fight the Keyshawn, with the tools he has, I believe he can do more than enough to win. That's what I believe. But for sure, it's gonna affect him. I don't think it's gonna be something that won't affect him in the fight.
Got just a couple more things, and then if the fellas want to ask you a question or two. You said Dominican Republic. That's where you're from. What part?
From the capital, Santo Domingo.
Santo Domingo. I like Santo Domingo, man. Just a little too busy for me. You know, when I go to that Puerto Plata side over there.
Puerto Plata, yeah. Good spot too. But Santo Domingo is a way different place than the Puerto Plata.
Got you. All right, fellas, y'all have any questions for Antonio, but also because I was just going to ask you, what did you think about the fights yesterday? If you had a chance to see Caleb Plant and then also Charlo.
Yeah, definitely Charlo. Even though he was, coming from a long layoff and all that, the issues he had, mentally, all that, the guy's a monster, brother. His discipline showed up. It really showed that he's focused right now. His job was amazing. He was focused on the fight. He was in the best shape, but I think he was good enough for the competition. He was facing the guy. Hopefully, come on from now and put a good show from now on. When it comes to Caleb Plant, I believe he's kind of aging. That's what I saw. That's my opinion. I believe he's kind of aging. He's getting to the end of his career. Physically, I don't think he's gonna be the same from now ever. I don't think so. Oh, so he may be facing his last fight. He's gonna make some money, and then maybe he turns into a pushover for all the fighters that are up and coming. But I think he's aging. He's aging.
Mm-hmm. And then, fellas, you got any questions for Antonio? As we move forward, I don't know if Antonio could stick around, but you got any questions for him?
Yeah, I can for sure. I can.
Lavelle and Shelton, y'all have any questions based on what y'all heard from Antonio?
No, I'm good. He rode with De Los Santos.
No.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, I welcome different opinions. I mean, he sounded like he's speaking from a place of knowledge, so that's always refreshing. And I just happen to disagree. I just don't think I haven't seen enough from Edwin De Los Santos to say he could be the Keyshawn Davis. But then in the end, who knows? That's why it's boxing. That's why they fight. Like my grandfather used to always say, if we knew who was going to win, they wouldn't have to fight.
Okay, what have you seen from Keyshawn that you believe he can beat Edwin?
I've seen Keyshawn in with world champions.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen De Los Santos in with Shakur Stevenson, the only champion, and they're saying that Shakur ran. Well, if you're the fighter that you're supposed to be, why didn't you cut off the ring? Why didn't you make him fight?
Brother,
see, nobody ever mentions that point.
Bro,
if he ran, because if that's the case, if Shakur Stevenson is going to run to victory against anyone, then why would you ever pick anyone against him? He's just going to run away and win the fights, correct?
That's his style, but sometimes it's a little bit too much, I'm not going to take anything away from Shakur. He's a great fighter, and I admire him a lot. He's one of my best fighters, the fighters that I admire from the boxing world. He's my top 5 fighters. He's probably number 3 in my top rank. But also, it's impossible for you to engage with a fighter that used to refuse to engage with you. And believe me, Shakur didn't want any part of Edwin that night. He was doing his job, he was kind of boxing, finessing him, like he said. I don't think it was the case at all, but he did what he had to do. I'm not going to complain about it. Edwin could have done a much better job. I agree with you on that. He could have done a much better job, and he didn't. But at the same time, Shakur wasn't running for him. Was running for him all the time. And you can't fight a guy that used to refuse to fight with you.
Yes, sir. And Adam says Keyshawn's the goods, but De Los Santos no slouch. Could go either way. Yeah, he does have
the running thing. I think that kind of gets overstated too, because it wasn't like Shakur Stevens was just using his feet and running around the ring. He stood right in front of him using defense. I mean,
no, not at all.
Santos just couldn't get to him.
I'm not gonna say that Devin was chasing him all the fight because it was not the case. There were some times where Shakur kind of stood on his ground. Sometimes, but let's say for more than 90% of the time, it was Edwin chasing Shakur. But sometimes you get rid of it. You know, you get tired of it. And sometimes you kind of are pissed off by chasing the guy all around the ring and nothing comes from him. So I don't think the time the time Shakur started his round, you know, it was like Edwin was kind of pissed off of being chasing the guy for the whole ring, the whole fight.
See, even what we're seeing there, he's just taking steps back, and De Los Santos can't even capitalize on it. He's right. Shakur Stevens is right in front of him, like directly in front of him. Like he's not even laterally moving to the right or left.
Not at all, no, brother. Whatever feint Evan made, look at the fight. Shakur was jumping 3 meters behind back. Any feint he was making, he was jumping behind like 3 meters back. You don't have to run. You don't have to. You only have to want nothing to not engage in the fight, and that was what he did. He was not engaging in the fight, not because he was running, but he was jumping back every time Edwin throw a jab or something. You know, that's what I'm saying. Because you don't have to run like literally, but you're not engaging at all.
Yeah, that's. I don't think that's much of a debate.
Look. My God.
My man Meach says, didn't Edwin De Los Santos beat Ryan? Yeah, that's you said he didn't beat the champions. Ryan was a champion. That's another champion. I favor a Keyshawn decision because of the activity and momentum, but Edwin is dangerous. Meach, that's how I see it, Meach. You know what I mean? And I was gonna point that out as far as that De Los Santos did beat a champion. He beat Ryan. Ryan was a champion. He wasn't a champion at the time.
You know, I can respect your argument. It's a much stronger argument than the one the partner gave, because if you look at the resume from Keyshawn and Edwin, I believe without a doubt that Edwin has a much better resume than Keyshawn. If you look, for example, he fought Rayo, was a champion to beat People. People is not a special fighter. We have to agree with that. But Keyshawn, that People was the same guy that gave Tank Davis a run for his money. So you can't deny that also. So it's not a bum also. So he's a good fighter. He beat Rayo. He beat Adorno, who is a good fighter also. Nothing special. Of course, he's not special. Not a dangerous fighter like Tank Davis or Shakur or even Kishan. But he's not also like an easy fight for anybody. And he whooped Adorno's ass. He won 10 rounds to 0. And not many guys are able to whoop guys like Adorno 10 rounds to 0 like Edwin did. So you have to give his props to him because of what he did to Adorno, who is not an easy fight for anybody. So he also fought one other guy, Shakur. We all saw what happened with Shakur. Shakur did what he had to do. Shakur is a great fighter, elite fighter. And even though Shakur won the fight, because I believe Shakur won the fight, I'm not gonna say that Edwin won the fight, but I want to say that Shakur won, and that's what he did. But even though Shakur won, it was clearly for me that he won. Uh, Santos showed that he's at Shakur's level, even though he lost. He lost. He lost, but not because he was dominated. He showed that he's at Shakur's level and he can win any given day. He showed up at the fight and showed that to the world. So I believe Edwin De Los Santos is a much higher level than Keyshawn Davis. He has shown that on the ring, not because of hype or because he's in the momentum, he's active or anything like that. He has showed up in the ring against high level competition like Shakur. And he showed us that he's a high level fighter. In my opinion, he's a much higher level than Keyshawn. Keyshawn fought, for example, Berinchyk. Berinchyk was a placeholder for waiting for anyone to get his title. A midget, a little man, an aging little man, 36, 37 years old at the time he fought Keyshawn. You know, he was the weakest link that Top Rank found to put against Navarrete. So Navarrete could beat him so he can make a unification bout with Shakur. That was the plan. And the plans fell off because Navarrete lost to Berinchyk. But it was the plan. They found the weakest link to put in front of Navarrete so Navarrete can beat him so they can make a unification bout between Shakur and Navarrete. That was it.
Yeah.
So it's not like Berinchyk was some guy, oh my God, amazing champion. Nobody was expecting Keyshawn to beat him. No. Stop it. Keyshawn.
Yes, sir. Look,
In fact, there is an interview where Keyshawn said that as soon as he saw Berinchyk, he knew it's going to be his easiest fight because it was too little for him. It's on tape. It's on tape.
No, he said that. We listen. We know, sir. But here's the thing. You made some compelling points. I want to go ahead and let Lavelle, then Shelton, have the closing words when it comes to next week's bout between Shakur and Edwin De Los Santos. Well, let me start with you. You get your last word as far as.
I'll just say you have a point, Antonio, as far as the resume. But this is what I'm gonna say. I've always, for a while, I underrated Keyshawn Davis. But now I'm not gonna do that anymore. I understand. It's skill level. It's skill level. It's dog level. It's a lot of stuff. If De Los Santos had that dog in him, that Shakur Stevenson fight would have went a different way. Not saying he would have won it, but it would have been a different fight to me. That's
okay. What about you, Sheldon? What you get your last word in when it comes to the fight that's going to take place?
I like the fight, bro. I like the fight, and I can't wait for Keyshawn to prove what to prove that he is what we say he is. And this should be the fight to prove it. Hopefully, if he beats De Los Santos, they don't move the goalposts like they usually do.
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and take me a last word on here. I hear what you fellas are saying. You make some good points when it comes to both sides. You know, De Los Santos is a tough fighter. I thought Shakur Stevenson did do too much excessive running and moving around. I say he was running because he was darting backwards, never willing to engage with this fighter. Again, if you just engage just a little bit more, you got to set that line in the sand. Like, okay, you probably can punch harder than me, but you're not going to be having me run around this ring. I'm not, I run this. I'm not running around this. You see what I'm saying? So that's the thing that I didn't like from Shakur. Again, got the victory, but it wasn't an impressive victory. It was one in which he had a lot of backlash, and for good reason. You are a prize fighter, and so you fighting in Newark and these places that's supposed to be your hometown. Give them something to take home with them that's special. Not you running around the ring and not inking out a decision, but just not giving them anything to salivate over. So I didn't like that. Now, as far as this fight, again, my biggest thing for De Los Santos is going to be that rust. Because I still think without the rust, this is a very tricky fight, and I still would favor Keyshawn slightly. But again, it's danger's going to lurk because I've seen this guy, he seems like he has some cement in both hands. And he's not just a fighter who doesn't have special effects. Like, he knows how to set his stuff up. I just think it might be tricky coming in rusty because you might just be missing things that you normally would be able to time better, and by the time you end up getting adjusted, you're fighting a dude who has two-fisted power as well, who's going to be up on you delivering some heavy shots. And I think that by the time he starts figuring things out, he could be looking up at the dang on lights. And so with that being said, that's the reason why I'm favoring Keyshawn, is for that particular reason. Good fight though, and I commend Keyshawn for wanting to fight somebody that's dangerous. A lot of guys want to do it. Shakur didn't want to rematch the dude, and then Tank ain't gonna fight nobody who has that's dangerous like this. So shout out to you fellas, man. Let's go ahead and keep it moving. I like the dialogue, like the conversation, and certainly appreciate you coming aboard. But Antonio, what do you think about the Pacquiao Barrios, the fight itself, and then the fight card? Does Pacquiao have a chance in that one?
I'm a fan of boxing. I love boxing, and since I was a little kid, my father taught me, the love for the boxing sport and all that. But for me, that fight is a total shame. I don't think what the hell is Pacquiao doing in boxing right now.
Getting that money.
Yeah. But there are limits. At some point it is too much. I don't think that fight should have taken place. I don't know. For me, it's a total shame, that fight. I don't even want to watch that fight.
Yeah. Let me see. I don't know. This gonna let me know if you actually from Dominican Republic. What's the name of this drink right here, Antonio?
I don't know, but it looks like the Dominican flag. It looks like, I don't know.
Every time I go, you know what they call them? They call them Sammy Sosas right there.
That's Sammy Sosa. Oh. Sorry to
Disappointed. Yeah.
I didn't know the name of that.
It's all good, man. Moving on to, we only got a couple more topics to discuss. So De La Hoya, he's saying Ryan Garcia. First of all, I'm gonna ask, do you fellas agree with this assessment? Let's start with you, Val. Should Ryan Garcia, does he need to take the rest of 2025 off after losing to Rolly? Do you think that that's okay? Talk to me. Why not?
No, man, his injury. They overplanned this hand injury, like you just got a broken up hand. It's going to take 6 months to repair or something like that. You're going to need extensive surgery. He's going to be out 6 months. I mean, that's 6 weeks. 6 weeks. That's it. Healing time. That dude should be back as soon as possible to stay active, keep his mind right, keep him away from a year. That's all that's saying is I only need Ryan Garcia when I want to make money to finish off the third quarter or the fourth quarter. That's it. I don't need him to have a career. So for Ryan Garcia, if he wants a career, he needs to stay active, man. Stay out of trouble, stay active, get you some rebound fights, rematch whoever you need to rematch, and take it from there. Basically, De La Hoya is saying, hey, I'm only need Garcia when there's a big fight, and that's it. That's once a year. Bad move.
Yeah. What about you, Sean? You think that that's a good plan of action?
I don't think very highly of Ryan Garcia. I don't think he's very good. He can take the rest of the year. He can take the rest of his career off of all of I'm concerned. He's never been champion of anything. Yeah, I don't think much of the guy. So, but if he wants to have a career, he needs to stay active. I do agree with Bill with that, but otherwise, I could care less.
What about you, Antonio? You think that's some sound advice from Oscar De La Hoya with his young prize people?
I don't think it's healthy for Ryan, especially Ryan, who has been dealing with mental issues. I don't think being inactive plays well for him. He's the kind of fighter that at this point of his career needs to be active. I don't think it's good for him.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because he just was off a year, and then he had other times in his career where he took long, lengthy layoffs. Also, I don't know. De La Hoya is a fighter, and he knows like the importance of being in rhythm, then being in camp, learning. At his particular stage of his career, like the early 20s and things like that, that's when you want to have 3 fights, 4 fights, something along those lines. And he was doing that for a second. It's just now, I don't know if he's trying to get him an opportunity to get some more of that stuff in the system for about a year and then come back, trying to fight AJ because he's gonna be so big and strong if he does that. Teofimo, he claims the Turkey. You want to talk about this, Bill? What's going on with this situation here with Teo and Turkey Al-Sheikh?
Man, he said, Teo just had some unkind things to say about Turkey. He's saying, and then Turkey responded, but I don't know if Turkey's gonna fire him. With Teofimo Lopez, you never know what's true and what's not because Teo is so.
What did he say Turkey did though? What happened?
Maybe I look this up again, man.
No, I couldn't see whatever it is that you said. Don't even worry about that. So also here, Bill Haney he's pushing for the Teo fight despite the fallout between Turkey and Teo. So they still want to fight. If they do fight, and Tony, I'm gonna start with you on this one right here. What percentage do you think? Who do you favor first and foremost, and why? And Tony, you still there?
Oh, here, are you talking to me?
Yeah, I was saying if Teo, gets the fight with Devin Haney, who would you favor in that fight and why?
Oh, that's a really close one. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I maybe a favor Haney because of his length, his movement. And Teo has shown that he struggles a little bit with fighters like Haney that moves a lot, that are technical. Remember what happened to him when he fought the guy, Sander Martin, and all that. Maybe a favorite Haney, but you never know what version of Theo is gonna show up. So I don't know, but I maybe favor Haney a little bit.
Well, I appreciate your honesty. What about you, Sheldon? Who would you favor in a Haney versus Teo fight?
Yeah, I would have to agree with Antonio on that. I would have to favor Haney slightly because of the movement. We know that Tio struggled with Sandro Martin. He struggled with Jermaine Ortiz. He struggles with guys who move. So Haney's gonna move. He's not gonna stand in front of Tio, and it's gonna give Tio problems. I would favor Haney slightly, but like my man said, you never know which version of Tio can show up. Tio is talented, but I would favor Haney.
Hey, you there? What do you think?
I would slightly favor Tio. I think Tio would show up for a fight like Devin Haney. If this was 100% Devin Haney, I would favor Devin Haney without a doubt. But Teofimo Lopez is not the type of fighter that you fight when you're still trying to find yourself or rebuild yourself. And I think that's the wrong move. And that's where I would favor Tio in that fight.
No, I definitely favor Devin Haney because, for one, Tio never wanted to fight Devin Haney when he had the opportunity to do so. I'm always going to favor the guy who's been the hunter and not the guy who's been crawling in holes and figuring out ways, coming up with excuses of why I shouldn't have to fight this guy. And what has he done? And I'm not going to favor nobody like that ever. Also, in addition to that, you got, to me, I look at the Haney situation in his last fight against Ramirez differently than other people because, again, you were coming in after a year layoff after being pounded by a guy who was on PEDs in that fight. So you just want to make sure that I'm following a game plan because that's the problem that you had before when you had scenarios and situations when you find yourself being vulnerable was when you were trying to be pleasing. So now let me go ahead and be this disciplined fight. I'm not going to engage. Not this one. I might do that in some other fight, but not today. We're not going to do that. And all of those guys who were saying, oh, Devin Haney, he chose the wrong guy. You know, Ramirez in this fight right here, he might beat Devin. They were saying all that. Then when Devin actually wins the fight, then they want to go ahead and discredit the man for winning a fight that you said you thought that he wasn't supposed to take in the first place. So I don't get it. I'm going to tell you something else that I don't get when it comes to Devin Haney. You got people on social media right now. It says the people are roasting him for begging Turkey LSC for a Lopez fight. How am I being roasted for wanting to fight somebody as a fighter? See, that's what I don't get, man. How is that even possible? And that dude always getting the scrutiny. And then people will figure out a way, oh, it's because it's just the way he carries himself. It's just the stuff that he does. And, man, I want my fighters to want to fight people. I don't even know if that's a discussion right there. I'm gonna go ahead.
Yes, it's not. It's not. You're absolutely right. But let me say this. Well, let me get this out before I forget. Rest in peace to the body snatcher.
Oh yeah,
I was so hurt by that.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, we talked about that. Well, yeah, rest in peace.
That's one of my favorite. That's one of my all-time favorites, man. One of my all-time.
Yeah. Dude just had impeccable timing, showing that you don't have to be an athletic marvel to be great. That dude just had timing and skill and just knew how to put it all together. You know? Yes,
sir. Yeah, rest in peace to Mike McCallum. Fans, they slamming Canelo. They saying that he has some culpability in that failed drug test. You know, he out there eating steaks and some of that clenbuterol meat with Haney. You know, how much do you blame Canelo's team?
Camp Verdoso. That's what Martinez, Canelo, Munguia,
Valdez,
Ryan,
Valdez.
Everybody that come through that camp is dirty.
So talk to me. What's you? So you give them all the blame?
I just said it. I mean, what else needs to be said? Everybody that comes through Eddie Reynoso's camp tests dirty. One time, okay. 2 times, we got to watch you. 3 times, it's no longer a coincidence. 4 times, it's a trend. It's a pattern.
No, I hear what you said. I'm asking how much. So is it all the blame? Is what I'm asking.
100%.
So you don't blame the person who's joining a team that has this track record. They joining a team and doing everything that this team is telling them to do. What you don't put any culpability on the person who's actually engaging in these activities with them, knowing that
he's an idiot. He's an idiot, but it's working for Canelo. It's working for everybody else that's going through there. I'm gonna do it too. He's an idiot for sure, but he's doing what everybody else in the camp does. So don't leave the camp out of it.
Yeah, he forgot he's not the star.
yes, sir. But all I'm saying is,
Munguia was working with that guy with Morales. He never popped Diddy, and as soon as he came with Canelo, he came up.
yeah, I'm just saying, do you give 100% to them? When, for me as a man, if I know that I'm going around these dudes who have a track record for something, it's like the song that Nas had when he said it's called Associates. And he said, and it's other people who say the same thing. It's like, but he was referencing ladies. And he was like, if you hang around all of these ladies who they have this reputation, then you're going to be associated with that as well, even if you don't engage in those type of activities. So what responsibility do I put on a grown man who goes over here with the juice crew? Yeah, you 9 times out of 10 are going to test positive for juice as well, just like the other fellas did previously.
Man, McGill knew what he was doing. He just got caught. He got caught. He thought he'd get away. We don't know how long he's been getting away, but he got caught this time. And they always blame him on the meat. Like,
you got 10 days.
What's the worst part? What's the worst part? That anything's gonna happen to him. He's covered. I don't think nothing bad is gonna happen to him. He's gonna be covered.
You got 10 days, man. That beat something.
Hey, he need that extra kick to get that chin back and beat Sarase.
That's right. All right. So,
do you think he's gonna have the same treatment? That, for example, Garcia had against Haney?
No, I think Garcia is too loud, man. He brings too much attention to himself. McGill doesn't really do that, but I still think this is not going to be a good look. But think about it. Nobody talks about when Canelo was caught with that stuff. That's because Canelo don't say anything.
Well, it all depends on how
we
things.
I said we just named 4 fighters, right? We named 4 fighters, right? What's the common denominator with all 4 of those fighters?
Hey, Reynoso.
They're Mexican and they're Diddy.
I mean, it's not hard to see, Wilton, unless you don't want to see it. It's not hard to see.
Why do you say Wilton? Like, what would it have to do with him testing positive? First and foremost, and secondly,
you're trying to switch the blame from Eddie Reynoso, talking about he's a grown man, he knew what he was doing. Of course, he knew what he was doing. He's an idiot, but he went over there to get juiced up. He knew what's going on over there.
So if that's the case, then how do you put 100% on the people who's providing with the stuff that he wants? So that's all I'm just trying to figure out. Like, how's that 100%?
Because they've been cheating for a long time, and I'm glad they're getting exposed. They've been cheating. And me, I'm the old guy that be kicking people off the grass. I don't have no problem with cheating. I say if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So let them all cheat. I don't care.
Yeah, I just like
that message from Joy.
So based on that rationale, that thought process, it's like if somebody is committing crimes, they're robbing these banks, and you said, dang, I know that they got away with it a couple times, and they may have not. But if I go over there and do it, they got all of the weapons, they got all of the game plan. If I go over there and do it and I get caught too, the blame is really on them because they're the ones who got the guns and stuff like that. I just heard about this, so I just want to go join them and try to come up. So when it's time to get arrested, then you can go ahead and release me because 100% of the blame is on the people who actually had the weapons and the strategy.
No, you don't get released because you're an idiot, and dumb people need to get locked up because you're stupid. You don't need to be out here with the rest of us.
So if that's the case, then it's not 100% to blame on the people who have the guns, the weapons, the plan. You have to take some culpability because you're going to get the time because you were stupid enough, according to what you said, in order to join those people who are doing things illegal. What's it, Valdez? What do you say? Oh yeah, Oscar Valdez is another one. Absolutely. Talk that talk, man. Also, Boots.
Yeah, and I forgot all about him. But yeah, I don't like Eddie Reynoso. I don't like their crew, so I'm gonna put all the blame on them. It's personal.
Also, Munguia, we got Munguia testing positive for Boots. He said, man, I'm going to go ahead and go with what it is I said that I was going to do. I'm going to get these belts. 2 things that I want to hear from you fellas is this. Do you agree I want to say that's Hackett who said that had he taken the fight with T.O., that he would have definitely either ended his career or he was going to have a deleterious effect on Teofimo's career had he taken that fight. And do you agree with Boots? Was that a better plan for him to go ahead and stick to his guns and go after undisputed at 147 pounds?
If he can't get the fight with Brian Norman, I think it is. And it's harder because I don't know if he has, in order for him to get undisputed, he has to fight two fighters. He has to fight Brian Norman Jr. and he has to fight Mario Barrios.
Pacquiao.
Well, whoever wins that fight. So the thing with that is the only way to cure that is if the winner of Barrios Pacquiao and Norman fought each other. And that's too long of a wait, you know what I'm saying? Because to be honest, Boots, the way it sounded like he only has one more fight at 147 left. So he's probably not going to unify it.
What gives you that impression?
Because it's been reports that him saying, hey, look, I have one more fight at 147. Like, I don't have too many fights here. So
where'd you? I never heard that, sir. This is news. This is breaking news, right?
Yeah, I've heard in plenty of. I mean, you know how Boots is. He'll say one thing and then say, "Hey, I don't know what I want to do." But well, I did hear something that said Boots said he was unsure of making 147 again, even for Teofimo Lopez. So my answer to that is
whoa. Because again, that information, I don't think that. Listen, I'm following these dudes on. Again, I want to say the name of the show, and then also the interviews that Boots has. He's saying that he doesn't have a problem making 147 pounds. And when he made mention after the Kieran fight, he'd never said he had trouble making weight. He said, I guess it's time to move up. That's all he said. But it wasn't the fact that he had trouble making weight. He never said that.
So this is coming from BoxingScene.com. It says, Ennis decided to stick around at welterweight in order to add more belts to his collection, but after successfully unifying the division against Stanionis, it is unlikely he will add a third 147 title anytime soon. Because the WBO champion Brian Norman Jr. is facing Jin. We know his names.
Yusasaki.
Okay.
But that has nothing to do with him saying that he's having trouble making weight.
That's Eddie Hearn that told him that. I think the big question is whether Boots stays at 147. That's what Eddie Hearn said.
Yeah, you know, Eddie Hearn has his agenda. Boots has his agenda as well, and sometimes it's a little bit different. But as far as him, Boots never said that he has trouble making 147. Matter of fact, he says he makes it comfortably. That's what he said. And if it doesn't happen, I just don't want any misinformation. I know it's not disinformation. I don't want any misinformation based on what it is that I know. I know that he never said that.
But
unless it was just yesterday or something.
But I don't think it's beneficial for him to wait on Brian Norman Jr.'s fight or wait on Pacquiao and Barrios fight. I mean, because then he's going to sit on a shelf waiting on them to fight when he can take a fight. He can take a big fight with Teofimo Lopez, which is a good name. He can get a good name on his resume, beat up Teofimo Lopez, become a bigger star. He can probably ask for more money when he unify.
Do you know that Brian Norman, not Jr., he's spoken, but I haven't heard him. But I've heard seniors say once they get this Jin Sasaki fight, which is coming up relatively soon, that they can fight either in September or October. So is that too long to be waiting, and then you have the Barrios Pacquiao winner afterwards? Is that too much?
No, that isn't too long.
Yeah,
if they decide to do it.
Yeah, ideally, that would be
ideally.
Mm-hmm. What about you, fellas? What do you think about this right here? This Boots situation. So the two questions I had was Boots. If he did fight T.O., do you think that it would have been all bad for T.O.? Like, would he hampered the rest of his career messing around with Boots? And then the other thing is, was that a smart idea from Boots' standpoint to bypass a T.O. fight and try to stick to his guns and become unified or undisputed at 147?
I believe the second option is the much better for Boots because I don't think people perceived there is any to gain from a victory from Tio. I believe Tio has anything to gain or anything to win or a lot to win, and Boots has everything to lose. I don't think Boots get more recognition from that victory.
Yeah, makes sense. You got anything on that? Is Show still there, or is he moseyed on? Yeah, I think
Uh,
Show.
if I'm Boots, I stick out to my plan. I stay on the 147, looking for undisputed. I try to get that Norman fight. Maybe some fight with barriers also to get undisputed, and then maybe with the undisputed titles, he can get a fight for some big money. I don't know, maybe Crawford. Who knows?
Antonio, who you favoring that Norman and Boots fight if they do lock horns?
Boots, easy,
Easy?
Oh
easy.
yeah, easy.
Nah, you don't respect the power of Norman.
No, Dorman has power, but it's not like anything special. And him as a fighter, also, I don't respect him as a fighter, like a special talent. He's really good, but nothing special.
Okay. Next,
Boots for me is special. Boots is special talent.
got you. Next gen Combat Sports says him and Jen fight next month. They can fight later this year. That's right. Because like I said, his father was saying maybe October, like they can go ahead and do it then. I think that'd be right up the alley. He could go viral. I ain't gonna say all that, but he can go viral whooping Tio.
Good.
All right.
Real star.
So that's what I'm saying. Next gen, Brian Norman can thump. He mess around and get clipped. But Boots be getting hit flush sometimes too. And so that's the reason why I say I wouldn't necessarily it's a foregone conclusion that he'll go ahead and get Brian Norman up out of there. And he's getting better each time out. All right. I just wanted to point this out. No discussion here, but Xander Zayas, he's supposed to be fighting for some belt against a guy named Garcia Perez. I'm not familiar with Garcia Perez, but it's supposed to be a junior middleweight championship on the 26th. Last but not least, man, this is going to be our last question of the day. Ms. Jackson mentioned Abdullah Mason. He's saying that he's targeting Keyshawn Davis fight soon. So maybe one more fight, and then he want to push for the Keyshawn Davis fight. Do you think it's too soon, man? And then do you think that he has a chance against Keyshawn?
I think it's way too soon. I mean, he got a puncher's chance, but if you look at vulnerable, Keyshawn Davis is not who you want to fight. It's going to be an exciting fight, but I think that Davis will put him out eventually. Quick. Too soon. Too much too soon.
What about you, Antonio?
Same here. I don't think it's seasoned enough to face a guy like Keyshawn, even though Keyshawn is the most experienced fighter. I believe Keyshawn is a little bit ahead of him, the curve, and I don't think he's ready for Keyshawn yet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think that's the last topic of the day. Vela's going to talk some of this hip hop stuff. Antonio, you got anything else that you want to discuss before we go to this last part of the episode?
On free subject, anything that I can bring on?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We try to keep our sponsors too.
Before you do that, though, Next Gen says sometimes Boots gets hit flush a lot. So again, that's why I said a Brian Norman fight could be a tricky proposition with that power that Norman has. He also says
I don't think so.
He said Abdullah might go life and death with Nakatila. I don't know. We'll see. I like the kid doing that one. All right. What is it you want to
Yeah. I wanted to talk about a fight. Since you mentioned Brian Norman Jr., who I believe is a very good fighter, and I respect him a lot. I don't think he's special, but he's really good. There is a fighter, a Dominican fighter, that has been talked to the last few weeks, talked to a lot, and that I believe is special talent. He's not ready because he's not seasoned enough yet. I think he needs a little bit more experience, 1 or 2 fights. But I believe his talent, boxing skills wise, he's special and can definitely beat Norman. Not only can he beat Norman, but he can make a competitive fight against Boots. And that is Roan Polanco. I don't know if you have heard about him.
Hey, wait, repeat that name again.
Roan Polanco.
No, I haven't heard of it.
Brother, you have to look out for that guy. Believe me, you have to look out for that guy. That guy is special. He fought recently. About I don't know. It was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. He fought against Argentinian guy that fought Barrios last year. Oh, Maidana, Fabian Maidana. He fought Fabian Maidana.
All right.
Okay, but look for that guy. Believe me, and he has given some interviews the last few weeks, a few months. The guy is ready for the big leagues. I think in the next 2 fights he fights, he's gonna be ready for Norman or even Booth. But I believe Booth is a different conversation. Booth is on another level. But look for that guy, and it's possible that he'll be fighting Norman next year. Yeah,
What's he fought? Let me see. Who was the
Rowan.
guy that? No, who's the guy that you said he fought Barrios?
No,
Who
no,
was
he
the
fought
guy?
Fabian
No,
Maidana,
no,
who fought
no. Who's
Barrios.
the guy? Who's the guy that he beat that fought Barrios?
No. He fought a guy that fought Barrios last year and made a competitive fight against Barrios. It's Fabian Maidana. Fabian
Okay,
Maidana.
Rohan Polanco. Okay,
Yeah. Rohan, Rohan Polanco.
I got him. 5'10". Okay, from the DR. He's ranked
Yeah,
number
the guy's
7 in
special.
BoxRec.
Yeah.
No, I see him right here. He don't look like he got that much power though, you know.
Hey, brother, that guy is elite. He has a very, very, very good power and technique. He was the shoulder roll. You know, he was that little shoulder roll. His defense is can be better. His defense, but he's also very good defensive fighter. Has very good offensive weapons. His power, his timing, his distance. He's composed. Very good fighter. Look for that guy, and I'm sure you're gonna like him.
Okay, all right.
Santo Domingo. That's your homer, bro.
In
That's all.
fact, Brian Norman's story was having an interview about a month ago or less on the TVB. You know that channel. I don't know if you have me to mention that the channel with Nestor and all that. And and they were going at it, talking about that fight, the possible fight, and they it was heated. It was heated. It was really, really, really good time, you know. So that fight could be in the works for next year.
Let's see this kid, man. Yeah, it look like he. Which is he the one in orange?
Yeah.
Look a little like he can go down the weight class too, you know.
He started
Oh,
fighting at 140, and then he moved up. The top rank made him to move up to 147 because they had other plans at 140. It is tagged right now with Tio and all those fighters, and they made him move up to 147.
well, we'll take a look at him. We'll be on the lookout. Let me see if he got something. No, they say he's suspended though. Why is he suspended?
No, he's not. He's not at all.
Yeah, they do that to all the fighters after a fight. Some reason it always
He,
says that on box.
he's recovering from a hand injury. That's all that I know for now. But he's not suspended.
And that may be the reason why he's suspended right now.
But he's gonna be fighting. He's gonna be fighting. I believe he's gonna be fighting on Subriel's Martinez card. He's supposed to be fighting in July. After the Subriel Martinez and Pollo card, he was gonna be fighting by the end of July, maybe.
Okay, I'll definitely be on the lookout for him. Anything else you want to discuss?
That's all.
Yeah, he's off my radar. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anything about the kid, but
believe me, by his side, believe me, you're gonna like that guy. That guy's special.
Well, I appreciate you putting us up on that, man. Anywhere else we can find you, though, certainly appreciate the boxing talk, man. I also appreciate the fact that, it seemed like I know you like your Dominican Republic guys. You know what I'm saying? Like that, those are your favorites, but also you're very objective. You know what I'm saying when it comes to your perspectives on different fighters. So certainly appreciate you, man. You're always more than welcome. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. If you haven't done so already,
I will right now. I will.
I appreciate you. All right. Yeah, we're just gonna end with these few last questions, man. Certainly appreciate you once again. And like I said, we come on every Sunday pretty much around 2:00. And so we'll definitely be on next week to discuss Keyshawn's victory over Edwin De Los Santos.
Right.
Oh my God.
All right, my guy.
Could be.
All right. You have a good one, all right?
Yeah, you too, sir.
Take it easy.
Have a good day, brother.
Yeah, peace. All right, we're gonna go ahead and with your questions, man. I put like 2 or 3 of them on here, and we can go ahead and wrap it up because I know
okay.
you put it on. You actually asked for this, so I want to make sure I get it.
Did I?
Yeah. But I have to throw it's 3 questions on here. First and foremost, because that hip hop, man, and R&B, they don't make it like they used to. And sometimes when I'm on different websites, I'll see R&B questions kind of challenging. It's kind of rigorous. And I saw one, and this question I'm gonna have for you, this is gonna depend on your taste. Which one stuck to your ribs a little bit more? So the first question I have is more of an R&B. So make your choice wisely. I know Miss Jackson might be listening to the conversation.
Okay.
When it came to these artists in the late 80s, early 90s, when they came out with these CDs, I don't know if you are up on these, but which do you think was the better album, better CD? Don't tell me you stomped, man.
I gotta go with Keep Sweat off the Make It Last Forever. I gotta go with that. That was a hit, very hit record. And shout out to my cousin Sonia and Freeman. They actually used that song for their wedding.
Oh yeah,
1988, 1987, that time frame.
Mm-hmm. Is that the only reason, or is it any other?
Yeah, I mean, he came. Babyface, I like a lot of songs in totality, but I'm not sure if that album in of itself was like, wow.
No, I'm gonna stop you there. We're not gonna have any Babyface slander on this show,
No,
sir.
I'm not gonna slander.
Right here was a true classic. That Babyface Tender Lover. Here's the thing. Here's the determining factor between both. Is that Babyface, the second half of the CD is classic after classic. You got Soon as I Get Home, Whip Appeal. You got Sunshine. Where will you go? And it's just like boom, 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 boom with the love songs. But he hits you off with some good songs to start the CD off. It's No Crime, Tender Lover, songs like that. But
because it gets your love.
It's not like Keith Sweat. Keith Sweat just banger after bangers. No laws and Make It Last Forever. And he has the classic songs on there as well. So I just got to go with Keith from that standpoint. But both of those are classic. And I must say this, they used to have me a slow jam tape. When I used to put that slow jam tape, I was undefeated, man.
Okay.
I was undefeated for that slow jam. All right, now this is going to go ahead and get off into the hip-hop questions that we have right here for you. It's 2 questions I have. This right here, because I know you like these type of artists. We may have had something like this in the past, but I just want to hear your perspective on this. If one of these classic CDs had to go, you got to do away with this particular piece of music, which one would you remove? And that's going to be Nas, Illmatic, Into the Woo,
oh man,
Ready to Die.
How you gonna do this? Ew.
Come on, man. You know what you like, man. Come on now. You know what you like.
Man. Oh man.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'll tell you what I'm getting rid of Woo, man. I'm getting rid of Woo.
I'm getting rid of
Woo. I'm gonna tell you why, right? So Woo, that was a cold CD. I like them. Yeah, Coach Eddie said the same thing. I gotta get rid of Woo. That Dre is so classic. You got that Biggie, that Ready to Die. That might even be better than the other one. You know what I'm saying? And then that Nas, that's 5 mics all day. Woo was good and great. I just think those other ones from top to bottom, classic, man.
I disagree. I thought that Inner Wu-Tang is just as classic. I think if I'm gonna remove one, even though I like this CD better than the other one, I think Ready to Die I will remove. I felt like when I look at albums that, well, I can't even say that because I got Illmatic on here too, but the Trinity really to me is Inner the Wu-Tang, The Chronic, and Southern Playalistic for the South. I feel like though, and Inner the Wu-Tang kind of brought that because this came out before already Diane-O-Matic actually, and that brought that roughness back to East Coast, and everybody was laughing at the East Coast talking about the polka dots and all that. Before Biggie said anything, they were laughing at East Coast rappers saying they look corny, looking like cross colors and doing the iggity wiggity, you know. And Wu was that. Them and kind of Onyx was that group to show like, look, we still hip hop heads, but we just as raw as anybody else. And that's why I give that, you know, put that album on there. So I would take out Ready to Die.
Coach Eddie, what's good with you?
What's going on, brother? Yeah, I them albums right there. To be honest, man, I think Wu the top of all of them, man. as far as the group, man, Wu-Tang, they have a cult like following, man.
Okay, so Eddie, I don't mean to cut you off. So you're saying you would keep Wu-Tang because it looked like you were saying take him off. I was like,
yeah, my fault. Yeah, I said I keep Wu. I think I maybe misinterpreted the question. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the Wu, man, because them dudes they got a cult like following, man. Them dudes got so much work, man. Then when they branched off, man, they dudes got Killer Bees, Killer Army. You know, the RZA, man, all them albums, the Genius. I mean, all of them are just dope albums, man. And then they did collaborations with Gangstar, you know, Redman, and come on, man. Them dudes worldwide to this day, they've actually bigger than anybody up there, maybe besides Drake. But I'm talking about just on a global scale, they bigger than Nas and Biggie, easy.
But that's not the question, though, Coach. The question is, out of those CDs right there, which one are you removing? Like, if you had to remove one, as far as your listening pleasure, not as far as their worldwide recognition and things like that, but as far as the quality of all of them are quality, all of them are classic.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the Dre off, man. I'm gonna remove the Chronic, man.
That's the West. Wait, Coach, you in the ATL?
Yeah,
man. You got a West Coast. You got a thing against the West Coast, man. Come on, man. Come on.
No, I'm gonna keep it. I'm taking the. I'm gonna remove the Chronic. Cause to me, the album it was alright, man. You know, to me it only had maybe about 3 hits on there. You know that was to me. That's just to me now.
Coach, it changed the game. Like that whole G-Funk era. Boom, 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 boom. Oh my God! Come on, Coach. So I got to go with the Wu. I take the Wu off of there. Not to say collectively, I like RZA, I like Jizza, I like Ghostface and Raekwon. I like all of them dudes, man. Inspect the Deck. You know what I'm saying? But as far as it's some of those songs on that CD, I don't necessarily listen to them like that. But they do have about 5 or 6 songs of them on there that are just banging. You know what I'm saying? That's the undeniable classics. But as far as it brought a breath of fresh air, you know, to the game, I must admit that. Now, last question is this, man. This is going to be the last question that I got for you. Woo! It's going to be tough, man.
You never know.
This is one of my favorites, bro. Like my guy, Slick Rick, when it came to the Great Adventures of Slick Rick, that's one of the most classic CDs of all time. So you see here the artist storyteller, right? First and foremost, is Slick Rick the greatest storyteller in hip hop?
For me, yeah. I don't even. I hear a lot of people say, you know, other artists like, you know, Biggie, you know, and respect to Biggie, respect to even.
No, it's gonna be Scarface. The other person that people gonna say is Scarface.
Yeah, like Scarface. Yeah, respect to Scarface. Ice Cube. All those are great storytellers. Even Andre 3000, great storyteller. Slick Rick is just like, to me, is like the originator, man. Like the one that made
the greatest storyteller. Yeah. So that's not changing.
No, he the one that made rappers tell stories. The only other one that told stories before that was Melly Mel. You know what I'm saying?
That was the Message. Was the first story?
Yeah.
Talk to him, Coach. What do you think?
Yo, I'm gonna tell you somebody y'all gonna sleep on who told great stories, man. Was that 8-Ball and MJG?
Okay, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Slick Rick, yeah, he was cool. I didn't really get into Slick Rick like that, to be honest, man. You know, just to keep it all the way 100. Yeah, Slick Rick was a great artist, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, told great stories, but like I say, Nas told great stories. AZ told great stories. You know, that armed robbery, that was a story, man. Mr. Big, that was a story. I mean, maybe because I'm from the South, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just, I think 8Ball MJG is an underrated rap group, man. They had a lot of hits, bro.
No, 8Ball MJG was my favorite group, sitting on top of the world and all that, man. Like I loved them. I was disappointed in MJG when he went solo. I thought he was gonna come out harder than that. But I think 8Ball, I think he had like a double, triple CD. That was cold CD. Yeah, that was slept on. But no, that was one of my favorite groups. But as far as storytelling, man, that CD, that first CD with Teenage Love on there, and Hey Young World on the Lisa, when he telling the story about he being this he's royalty, but he's sitting there having a conversation with the chick, but then Trevor comes over there telling him, like, don't be talking to this peasant. And then she starts singing, and she was sad because if you ever see her again, don't walk on by. You know, man, this dude was, and the cleverness with the stories. Now, it's close between him and Scarface, because Scarface will tell you a heartfelt story. You'll be sitting up there, you be feeling them stories.
Yeah, minute to pray and second to die. Yeah, that's.
Oh, he got some other ones too. He got some other. If you listen to, he got us one of the most slept on CDs in history. Is the one that he had about 5-6 years ago. It was called it was
Demetrius.
That's a cold CD too. I can tell you in 1 second. Scarface, and he had a part 2 to it that people slept on as well. It's called Deeply Rooted.
Oh, yeah.
Rooted, man, he gets busy on there. But anyway, those are my top 2. It would have to be Slick Rick and Scarface. But Slick Rick, I've got him definitely Mount Rushmore #1, consensus #1 storyteller of all time. Coach, you still there? Coach might be on the phone. Bill, anything else you want to touch base on before we wrap this one up, man? Certainly appreciate you.
Man.
Coming through.
Yeah, good episode.
Oh no, I forgot. Let's my bad.
Okay.
I just saw something. Did you see that's the reason why I got the LA hat on. They came out with the list the other day of the top 50
rappers in LA.
Did you see that?
I did. I checked it out. I checked out that the game was feeling a certain type of way about being a number 11.
As he should.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, I got one more question. My bad, man. What y'all think about? I know y'all getting ready to go, man. I wish I would have chimed in earlier. What you do think about Gangstar, man, or Guru? You think he was good?
Love Guru, man. That CD.
The Moment of Truth, that was a hot one, man.
Moment of Truth, yeah.
Moment of Truth was a classic. That was like 98.
Yeah.
Two CDs, man, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then that Wu-Tang United, you know, Wu-Tang is going on tour, man. They doing something called The Last Chamber, man.
Yeah. They disappointed me, man, because they wasn't coming to DC, man. I was looking for some tickets, man. I had people, you know, at work like, hey, man, I see you're a fan, man. And they get to go, and I can't, man. I feel a little hurt, man. I feel a type of way, but you know, it's all good.
For sure.
See, with Guru, he had like the Jazzmatazz stuff. I don't know if y'all familiar with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Shaka Khan.
Next to the X.
Yeah.
Next to the X.
That was a classic.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I used to mess with Guru. These are the words that I manifest. That was like when I first got a hold of them. But then that orange CD. Then he had the song.
Oh yeah, to my hard to earn. That was the joint.
Yeah. These you had that, but also the songs that he had with Nice and Smooth. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Do what you can.
Yes, sir. Man, there's so many artists. I mean, Boot Camp Click, they was good, man. You know, Smith and Wesson, all them cats, man.
Yeah, so being out there, so you grew up in the Atlanta area, Coach?
Yeah, I grew up in Atlanta, man, but we listen to everything, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, what's your favorite era in hip hop though? Like, is it
Man, the 90s, bro.
Oh, yeah,
All
yeah.
day, man. Yeah, that right there was you would go buy tapes, you know what I'm saying? And there was tapes with like $10 to $13, and you couldn't afford a bunch of tapes. So me, you and your homeboy, y'all go buy a different tape, and y'all just was, flip flop and dub tapes. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, let me get that tape for a man to make a dub, and you give it back. So that's how you got your tape collection up.
Yeah.
Without going broke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, buy it every week, man. And you know what I appreciate about that era, Eddie? I appreciated that, man, you can be whatever you want to be. You can buy whatever you want to buy. Artists wasn't trying to be like everybody else. You can go. Each coast had their own sound, and then you have cities within the coast and neighborhoods that had their own sound. Even Queens sound different than Brooklyn, So
everybody had their own flavor, man.
Yeah,
even
and
like
respect each other too,
Yeah, guys like even Spice One. You had the West Coast, DJ Quick, Spice One, MCA. Everybody had their own flavor. Then you had the Ghetto Boys. The Houston sound. You had down south music.
But what you saying when you say which era? So give me the years though. So the era that you talking about is like the '94 kind of era.
I'm gonna say 90, probably 91 through 99, man. Was hot.
Yo, decade.
Okay, you got to do it by you. I say 90s is the decade, man. You know what I'm saying? Cause think about I really started listening to hip hop like in the 7th grade. So that was like 91. You know what I'm saying? All the way through high school. Think about I'm 47, so all the hits that dropped around 94, 95, 96.
But check this out, Coach. Everybody's gonna be like that, though. Like most people who like when you talk about the golden era or something, it's gonna be around that age range is who they gonna say was the best. So for me, I love that era, and it's a toss-up because I remember the 87, 88s when you had like KRS-One, you had Rakim, you know what I'm saying? Then you had Slick Rick had dropped in 88 with all of the storytelling and all that type of stuff on that classic CD. Then you still had like NWA over there who was banging out some of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You got Eazy-E coming out. You going to a party, you hearing Eazy-E with his I'm on the radio. I remember going to a party in the projects and they were playing Eazy-E for the first. I'm like, who is that? And then they start
Too
playing
short.
Too Short, cuss words and all of that. And so, hip hop was like during that time. And then also I was a basketball player. So you go to the court in the summer and you playing like summer league and they bumping some of that Too Short or they bumping some of that new Rakim that's out. They bumping that Rebel Without a Cause out. They got NWA bumping, you know what I'm saying? So you might have groups like JJ Fad or somebody like that too, who the girls, getting off into Salt and Pepper, So
it was different. But then you also had groups like that you could segue in, like Jodeci. Like nowadays, these dudes don't really listen to like no slow music. Like we used to, listen to slow music. Your girl give it your girl on Saturday. You had your mixtape ready. You know what I'm saying? So you have all
just talking about that.
You have all your joints. They're already back to back because you were trying to get some action. You know what I'm saying? But Keith Sweat done made a lot of babies, man. You know what I'm saying? You
had all them bands though. You had you had the Keith Sweats. Then he had some groups that came off of him like Silk. They had a CD. Then
H-Town. I think that was who was H-Town. That was the Luke right there. I
think.
But you don't remember that this one group called I can't remember their name, but they had that song "Come Inside."
He made some groups, man. Yeah, man. I think I remember that. I think I remember that joint. Well, even when Jodeci came, they took the hip hop because the R&B dudes was more like smooth back then. But they brought the hip hop flavor to the R&B. You know what I'm saying? With with the baggy pants, the Timbos, hat turned to the back, and they still had the mix. It was a mixture. You know what I'm saying?
And Mary J did some sort of thing too. You know what I'm saying? Like for the ladies, you know what I'm saying? That hip hop vibe with this music and stuff like that. But then you also had groups like Mint Condition, Tony. You got who else? Boys the Men.
Black Street. All them guys. Man.
Black Street. And then New Edition still was cold. And then they also had the group that they created You know, BBD, yep. Man, it was just too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as your listening pleasure, and they had soul to it too. It was like they were talking about something, you know. I hate it for these kids now. They don't have none of that. And then even when we talk about hip hop, you had different types of hip hop. It wasn't just all gangster or all drug dealing. It was you had groups like De La Soul. You got Tribe Called Quest. You can listen to some of that type of stuff too. You know what I'm saying?
Heavy D and the boys and stuff you could dance to. You want to dance, dance music. You know, dance hip hop music.
Yeah, man, you wasn't like a one-trick pony when it came to these sort of things. But man, we better go ahead and get up off it. We might have to be just a hip hop.
I know that's right, man. Hey, salute, man. Hey, I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. Now, Plant, people's big on Plant. I never was really big on Plant. To me, I seen a guy who was limited, you know, and always has been limited. He was just the right, you know, he was a good fighter. Don't get me wrong, he was a good fighter. But he was a white boy that had that swag, and it was something that they could market. That's what they did, man. He ain't doing nothing different than any other black fighter was doing. He's a left-hand dominant fighter. His right hand is trash.
Yeah,
it's always been trash.
But let me just say this real quick: the views and opinions of these of Coach. This is not a
this me.
The last was at the bar.
And Caleb Plant, you know, he got this swag, man. You know what I'm saying? He got this swag, you know. He came in with the Soul Brother type swag, but at the end of the day, his Achilles heel has always been pressure, man. He can't deal with it.
For the last, this 2-minute warning right here. All right, so you wasn't impressed, and you never been impressed with Caleb Plant. What do you think about Charlo yesterday? How was he to you?
To be Charlo look good, man. Charlo, that jab is phenomenal, man. Say what you want to say. A man that got a great jab is going to go a long way in boxing. Not only good, it's powerful. It's a type of jab that'll hurt you, man.
Punishing jab. Yeah, he said
it's a punishing jab.
What do you think about
it's a power punch. His jab is a power punch.
It can knock you down. What about his prospects at 168? What do you think?
It looked good. I think both guys missed a golden opportunity, and that's what I was saying. You mess yourself up when you fight these guys that are unherited, that people don't know. Like one of them guys should have been fighting Demetrius Andrade, but that's a sure enough banana peel right there. You might not. It ain't no guarantee you're gonna beat him. You know, matter of fact, he's probably gonna beat you. And I don't know why. I don't know why this guy can't get a fight, man. People act like they don't even know the dude exists. Nobody ever mentions his name. Nobody is he really the boogeyman? Because nobody's saying his name. Like the dude just only got one loss, and it's arguably against the best guy in the 168 pound. That was in the 168 pound division. So what? There's nobody ever been in a hurry to fight this guy, any of the top guys, because they know it's work. And they know it's not a for sure win.
Yes, sir. Last one here, Coach. Next week, what's gonna happen, man? Bell's gonna be down there in Virginia Beach checking his boy out down there in Norfolk, I should say. What do you think? You think that De Los Santos has a chance next week?
Absolutely, at 100%. These guys better recognize, hey, the script. These guys, these underdogs, they throwing these scripts out the window, man. They're not following these scripts, bro. So everybody better stay locked in, bro. They better stay locked in because De Los Santos, like I say, he may be highly motivated. He may be trying to prove somebody wrong because that last fight that he had, he coming out with something to prove. It's a dangerous fight, man. You know what I'm saying? And Keyshawn likes to engage. And I think
he ain't gonna be running. That's for sure.
Nah. Keyshawn, I think Keyshawn, when he fought Albright was able to expose Keyshawn some holes in this game. If Albright was a little bit bigger puncher, he probably could have had Keyshawn, in a lot of trouble. But he was catching Keyshawn. So like I said, Keyshawn, he's there. He'll fight. So it's always a possibility when you got two guys that's willing to fight, man. So it's gonna be interesting.
They can crack too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Certainly appreciate you, man. Next time.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all, brother.
But you come through earlier, Coach, man, because we want to hear more from your perspective. You another good one. I like Antonio earlier because both of y'all doing it a little bit differently, but y'all objective. You understand what I'm saying? And I certainly appreciate that, man. But again, we'll be on next week to discuss.
All right, brother.
Come to fight, man. But you have a good rest of your week, all right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, close us out, man.
All right, man. Last one's at the bar. Great episode, man. Shout out to all those that came through. Shout out to all the people that's in, the comment section, man. Keeping this live discussion, live and on point, man. And thanks to my brother Will, as always, keep me on track. So
yes, sir, man. It's today. I'm going by the acronym Drake, DRAKE, and he said on that song called "Miss Me," he said Drake stands for do right and kill everything. So I'm going by that moniker moving forward. Appreciate you, Bill. Catch you next time. Hopefully, I get a chance to see you next week. You have a good week.
All right.
Peace. Yes, indeed.